Hello and welcome back to Serie A Spotlight. We're your hosts Jake
and Matt.
You know what time it is!
I can't tell you guys enough how much you've been my internal monologue when thinking about football for the last year.
Yes, amazing! We get to record while drinking some wine. Jake and I will have a very special soft spot for Salernitana.
We love him.
We love him. Stop zooming in on Allegri's face, bro. You're gonna make
How
me
are you
break.
exposing me?
Because you're gonna make me break, man.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Serie A Spotlight. We're your hosts Jake
And Matt.
and this is episode 143 where we'll be covering all the events of Matchday 7 in Serie A.
Yes, we're recording a little bit late because it's the international break now, so we used the extra day for our preparation. We have a lot to talk about, but not before addressing our goal of the week. And I believe we ended up giving it to
Adli.
Adli.
Yes, it was a tightly contested affair watching all the goals. I mean, they were all incredible, right? The build-up to Ederson's strike was amazing.
The back heel by Retegui was incredible. Like the Adli one particularly, obviously, the Ruolo del Lecce, and knowing how much Adli loved Milan, the no celebration. But the way he hit that driven, curling low strike in off the post, so low, through a box full of players, I've never seen someone strike the ball like that.
And it came from a short throw-in on the left-hand side. He did everything else, you know?
Yeah.
Nice to see how Retegui is developing as a player, because his link-up play was never something to write home about when he was at Genoa. He was more of a poacher type of player. Very complete poacher, complete target man. But now we're seeing him more involved in the build-up play.
It's the Atalanta effect,
it
right?
Is,
They're a very systematic team. And aside from those, we also had Zemura's free kick, was lovely. We had Martin de Roon's volley from outside the area. It was,
I think,
delicious.
That would have been the goal of the week had Gollini been a bit better, maybe, or had it. I don't know, man.
No, you can't.
I fault the goalkeeper a bit there.
It's not one where you could particularly blame the goalkeeper, but Gollini just never pulls off any good saves and he concedes a lot of soft goals. Dovbyk just decided to, after missing a sitter, dribble the entire line of defense of Monza and net a beautiful goal. My personal favorite goal of the week was Chrissy P,
baby.
Chrissy P.
Side netting.
Man, that kind of volley where he cushioned it, that's the term, he cushioned it perfectly into the far corner, just in the side netting, so close to the post. You see his run of the ball. He's moving at such a fast speed, and the fact that he hit the ball in such a controlled way at the far post to go to the other far post, it was unbelievable.
It was
unbelievable
super.
talent.
With the instep as well. Well placed, perfectly placed. We have a lot to say about him being the main penalty taker, the assigned penalty taker,
supposedly
by Fonseca. Exactly. So do tune in. Do stay tuned to hear our thoughts on that, rather.
Exactly.
We did have some Champions League action, brother.
Yes, there was one of the best Champions League matches I've seen in a while take place between Leipzig and Juve. Terrible to see Bremer go off with an ACL injury. And we also had Duvan Zapata that went out with an ACL injury.
It's becoming more common.
Of course, I strictly blame how many matches these teams need to play, unfortunately. But Leipzig Juve was an absolute spectacle of a game, just tipped off with it was a comeback for Juve, tipped off by a brilliant fucking goal by Conceição, beating his defender in a one-on-one situation and then slotting the ball in perfectly. It was a spectacle, that game.
Absolutely, yes. And was it Fagioli who won the ball back in that in the build-up?
No, McKennie.
McKennie
won the ball back superbly, and he's been playing so well, man.
Yeah.
There was Lazio 4, Nice 1. Lazio looked incredible. We joked about Elfsborg beating Roma 5-1. They drew 1-1, which is absolutely lit for Elfsborg and rubbish for Juric's men. And Fiorentina did beat the Welsh side, the New Saints 2-0.
Elfsborg beat Roma 1-0.
Elfsborg
beat Roma. Yes, I know
God,
that sounded dodgy. Because Juric was under fire, and there were the whole rumors that they might bring De Rossi back, and De Rossi is a servant to the club, and he's always waiting, and apparently no matter what they do to him, he'll always be waiting over there on the side. Yes.
Interesting. That's my bad. I was sure they came draw.
No, they totally beat them, dude. We called it on the podcast. We said that they would struggle against Elfsborg, and it would be because this is the type of team, that can shock Roma. Historically, we've seen so many of these teams just pull off upsets against Roma. So that was entertaining, brother. We also had Fiorentina, who faced off against the New Saints.
Yep.
A Welsh team, and they beat them 2-0. It was quite
Shall we jump to this week in Serie A?
Yes, we had this week in Serie A. Theo Hernandez celebrated his birthday by giving away a penalty, missing a penalty, getting sent off for dissent, and receiving a fine from the club. We haven't seen a worse birthday than that since your 13th birthday.
Oh my God. Our granddad died on my 13th birthday, for context.
So now we celebrate Matt's birthday every year with a mass. Fonseca publicly admitted that he was pissed off after his penalty taker Pulisic got bullied off 2 penalties which were both missed. Speaking of, De Gea did save 2 penalties in one game, yet couldn't save a single one out of 11 in the Europa League final a few seasons ago, only to go on and miss his own to cost United the
Madonna.
final. Yeah. But against Milan, of course, he saves too.
Absolutely. I knew Milan were gonna flop in that game the second I saw the construction site behind Fiorentina's goal.
Exactly. Parma received their 4th red card in 6 games.
Madonna.
Lobotka has gone from Lard Vodka to Lobodka.
Oh, yes. He's looking good, man. That one preseason under Conte, no?
It's incredible. Even Lukaku's looking leaner, man. These guys, Conte must be a fantastic personal trainer as well. Like if you go, you get someone, go to Fourth Fitness or Reflex, shout out to those gyms. You get Conte as your personal trainer. You'll be ripped for the summer, ready to go. Genoa's owners, 777 Partners, have declared bankruptcy, and new owners are being sought after. They're looking at a few Americans.
It's going really well for Genoa.
Yeah, this is how it goes. No, you look for Americans, but you hope for Arabs. Hummels posted a sarcastic dig on Instagram about his playing time. He posted one of those swipe posts, and it's just pictures of him looking super fashionable in Rome, eating gelato, and like walking around, pictures of the sights. And he captioned it. Where is it? I've lost it. He captioned it, "Life in Rome. No, Rome so far. Game pictures will be included soon, I think." And back in September, he posted as well, like, game time coming soon. So he's been ready to play for a while, mentally prepared at least. Mm-hmm. So I think we'll be seeing him sooner rather than later.
I hope so. He's is a brilliant defender.
Lazio posted a profit of 38.5 million after selling players, cutting costs, and participating in the Supercoppa Italiana, putting them in the top 6 all-time Serie A profits.
Ooh, respect. Respect. Good Lazio, business. Good business.
Right? And what seemed to be dire times, they pull out this massive green flag.
Yeah.
Morata bought a property in Corbetta, and the mayor of Corbetta himself, Marco Ballari, welcomed Morata in a "here we go" style Instagram post, comically shafting Morata's rights to privacy.
And then, you know what happened after that, right? Morata publicly, I think he posted on his Instagram, he's like, "Thank you, but I'm off. Like, you completely violated my privacy. That's so disrespectful of you." And the mayor of Corbetta just posted "ciao," a waving hand, and the badge of Inter, showing that he's an Interista. Wow, kind of like he did it on purpose, kind of thing.
What a shithouse.
He's an asshole. He's an asshole. He's not a shithouse. He's an asshole.
Morata made a good point, saying the safety of his children had been compromised, essentially.
Absolutely.
And the privacy of his family. Yes. Pogba's ban has been drastically reduced, and he will now be allowed to play in 2025. So sooner rather than later. However, Juve don't seem to have him in their plans, and probably his contract will be terminated.
I'm quite sure he'd want to move away as well. I'm quite sure.
Yeah. And
I hope he doesn't go to Saudi. Sorry.
Yeah, but it does seem, one last payday for him seems to make sense at this point.
He's 31. He's a very competitive guy. Huh? He's very competitive. Pogba.
Personally, I don't know him like that. Only a few times, but Balotelli's Serie A return seems imminent, brother. Genoa and Torino are lingering. Genoa do need some players. They need all the help they can get. They've been linked heavily to Candreva, and I have a feeling that will happen. Torino have just lost Duvan Zapata to an ACL injury. He is pivotal to their system, and he's the only player who is irreplaceable in their squad.
He's the only one that can fulfill that target man role up front. Every single other person that they have in Sanabria and Shea Adams, they're brought in to do the work for him.
Absolutely, yes. So seeing Balotelli as the target man for Torino in big 2024 would be something.
Sign me up.
Yes, that I would definitely sign up for. As goes our fantasy, Sydney Laziale holds first place. He's cut off Pieter by a little bit. He's got 557 points, while Pieter's got 544 points, while Joey D has moved to third with the best name in the league. Lukumi, I'm the captain now.
It is the best name in the league.
Yes, shout out to our patrons. They're such cool guys, so cool to interact with and to wake up to. You get all the messages from the Americans in the morning. You read through them.
Today shout out Minnesota.
Yeah. Today we had some good book recommendations as well. Some football book recommendations.
From Lena and Greta, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely. Yes, the best. And we welcome to the family CJ. Our newest spothead, the latest addition to our family. Yes, the family.
Local. We're growing locally as well.
Yes.
The Maltese can stop.
Merhaba Alik CJ.
Say it like that.
They're gonna be like, wow, I hope this guy buys Genoa. Shout out to Ed, Alan, Andy, Lena, Mint, Tonna, Teo, Matteus, Luca, Anthony, Mike, Dave, Mastro Battista, Kyle, Andrew Batman, Slooge McNoodle, Tim Campbell, Tanino Batman, Choco Loco, Joey D, Tony, David Vavra, Keanu, Tyson, Stefan, Robert, Kurt, Pieter, Sal, Grima, Steve, Mattia, Nicholas Bosco, Sean, Nolan, Nicholas Granda, Greta, and CJ. You are the guys who keep the show going. You are the guys who are responsible for the artwork behind us. You are the guys who contribute the greatest to Serie A Spotlight.
I think this time Teo is missing.
Teo? Okay, shout out to Teo as well.
Yeah.
How is Teo missing?
Hey, bro, every week
it's the same list. I copied and pasted it. How can it be?
What the fuck?
No, he's here. He was the fifth one we mentioned. Yes.
My bad. If you guys do want to support us, check the link in our bio on Instagram. It is $3.99 a month. You'll be doing us a huge favor. We don't get paid for this, but we absolutely love doing it. So any support we value very much. And you'll also get added to the latest group chat in Serie A history. If you don't want to, do check out our socials. We just relaunched our TikTok after we were taken down for copyright for good. We had over 1 million likes on TikTok. We had over 13k followers. A lot of work went into that. So do go show us some love at Serie A Spotlight on TikTok, guys.
At Serie A Spotlight podcast now.
Oh yeah, oh my god, someone nicked it.
Yeah, no, it's us because it's still technically suspended, not banned.
I see.
However, a court appearance in Shanghai would be needed to get it back.
That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna head over to Shanghai. That's how I'm gonna use my leave this year. Off to Shanghai.
Translator and everything.
Literally, nah. Fuck that. We'll probably lose anyway. Instagram as well at Serie A Spotlight, on X or Twitter as well. YouTube is a place where we're really growing, starting to rack up some really good numbers on each episode, and you get to watch us as well, which is a bit more entertaining. So yeah, rate us 5 stars wherever you're listening. Show us some love.
Leave a comment. We're very happy whenever we see comments. Reading comments.
We like debates.
It's our favorite thing about the podcast.
Absolutely. I think we should jump straight to the rundown now. Yes. We're going to start off by discussing Fiorentina 2, Milan 1, where Adli got his goal against his former side. There were 3 penalties, all missed, 2 of them saved by David De Gea. We're going to be discussing Juve 1, Cagliari 1, where Cagliari got a very late equalizer. Vlahovic had a nightmare of a game. Conceição got sent off. They missed Bremer due to his ACL. And obviously we'll also be discussing Paul Pogba's return to football, which is imminent. Inter 3, Torino 2, the Thuram show. Thuram hattrick. Thuram is currently the leading goal scorer on par with Retegui. The only difference is that Thuram hasn't taken a single penalty. In this game, we did see Maripan of Torino get a red card after 20 minutes, and unfortunately, we did see Duvan Zapata do his ACL after a fantastic start to the season, so thoughts and prayers with Duvan Zapata. Napoli 3, Como 1 in a very closely contested match, particularly the first half, where I do even think that Como might have even had the edge. Great, fantastic display by Nico Paz as usual, but Big Rom is what made the difference with a goal from the spot and a brilliant assist on David Neres' goal. Lazio 2, Empoli 1. Empoli are no longer undefeated as 37-year-old or 38-year-old Pedro scored a golazo for the winner. He only scores bangers, this guy, and Lazio are on some great form.
2 in a week for Pedro, and very similar, because he scored one in the Europa League.
Only bangers, man. He has some really unique goals. The way he hits the ball, these sneak shots are very, very unique. This one was at the near post, an absolute bullet into the roof of the net.
I'm also curious to know how many children Pedro has, because I've seen him do the whole baby celebration so many times. Like, he must have at least, 14 children?
Same as Elon Musk. Monza 1, Roma 1. Juric is already under fire after a loss to Elfsborg and a draw to Monza. A great goal by Dovbyk, but a disappointing overall display by Roma. Atalanta 5, Genoa 1. A Retegui hat-trick, the second hat-trick of this week. Against his former team. He did do his best not to celebrate, but you saw a bit of a fuck yes in him. But nothing more than that, still respectful. It was 1-0 at halftime, this game, and it finished 5-1. Let me tell you what, Atalanta turned the spice on in that second half, because they were playing some magnificent football, and they really needed a victory of this manner. This is the turning point for Atalanta. They always start slow, and then they get a win like this. Bologna 0, Parma 0. Sarcastic round of applause for a Bologna draw. And a real round of applause for a clean sheet for Parma. Udinese 1, Lecce 0. It was quite close, I would say. Lecce struggled going forward. They struggled a lot going forward. Kristovic has been showing a lot of greed, but a Zamora free kick is what made the difference. A gorgeous strike by Zamora, as he has been one of the standout players for the Udinese side. And we will end things with the relegation battle maybe in future, because right now Verona are actually doing quite decently. Verona 2, Venezia 1. Verona fought back after conceding a rubbish goal in the opening moments of the match, but Tengstedt was once again on target for them as they won the game 2-1. So without further ado, shall we discuss the first match?
Yes.
Not after mentioning there have been 38 ACL injuries in 2024. So far, which is absolutely ridiculous. I just had the stat there, and I had to let you guys know about that.
38, man, that's a lot. I think Carvajal's was one of the worst I've seen this season.
Oh, Carvajal's was dreadful, man. Dreadful.
Jesus Christ. You start to wonder, like, can you even show that?
Hey, it was like from a horror movie, man. He's an absolute soldier, Carvajal. I'm sure he'll be back.
And it's such a shame where you see players who are in the twilight years of their career, and they get a serious injury like this. You can't help but feel that there's no going back. Like Carvajal, Duvan Zapata as well. Duvan Zapata had really rediscovered himself as a player. He was thriving in this Torino environment. And now he's out. God knows how he'll return.
And not only that, but we saw players like Zaniolo and Chiesa who had their careers pretty much ruined by ACL injuries, particularly Zaniolo, who was such a bright talent. And Scalvini, for example, did his ACL. Ferguson did his ACL. These are young guys. Scalvini, 19 years old, he's doing his ACL. In his physical prime, you could even say. But football is killing itself. That's what it's doing, because it's forgetting about the people that actually make it happen, and they're just making them work like they're fucking in the 80s and working in a hotel, hotel in Malta.
And I remember back in the day on a Wednesday night, you'd flick on the TV and you had two options of games to watch, you know? Like, you had to watch kind of a minnow game or a minnow side that you wouldn't typically watch. Nowadays, there's a big team playing almost every single day. Which means that you're hardly ever getting the opportunity to watch teams that you wouldn't ideally want to watch. You know what I mean? So it's just so
it's
diluted
it's
right
like
now.
how boxing's become. Every fight is a title fight. You know what I mean? Every week you're watching a world championship fight.
Yes.
But anyway, let's jump straight into Fiorentina 2, Milan 1. Fiorentina were coming off a 0-0 draw to Empoli in the Tuscan derby and a 2-0 home win versus the New Saints, whilst Milan were coming off a 3-0 home victory to Lecce and a 1-0 away loss to Leverkusen and the referee. Milan had won 3 straight Serie A games, but lost 1-0 to Bayer Leverkusen midweek in the Champions League. Loftus-Cheek, Jovic, Calabria, Bennacer, Sportiello and Florenzi didn't make the trip, and Fiorentina opened their Conference League campaign on Thursday against the New Saints, but lost Mandragora to a knee injury. It was a 4-2-3-1 formation for La Viola with De Gea and goal and a backline of Dodo, Comuzzo, Ranieri and Gosens. A double pivot of Adli and Cataldi. Bové was out on the left, Colpani out on the right, and Goodmanson played behind Moise Kean. A 4-4-2 formation for Milan with Magnan in goal and a backline of Emerson Royal, Gabbia, Tomori and Theo Hernandez. Fofana and Reinders were in the middle with Pulisic and Leao, flanking Morata and Tammy Abraham. So the game started off. Dodo won a very soft penalty on the 20th minute mark as Theo attempted to clear the ball and clipped the Brazilian ever so slightly. However, after a VAR check, Pareto awarded the penalty, only for Keane to step up and see his weak and central penalty denied by Mike Magnan. Interesting because it is Goodmanson that is typically on penalties, and he took 2 penalties in one game a couple of weeks ago, and he scored both of them on his debut.
I don't think he missed a single one for Genoa either.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think he missed one and scored the rebound, if I'm not mistaken, last year.
Perhaps.
It's always interesting to me. I know this is a talking point for after the game, but when people give a penalty to someone that needs a goal, I find it bullshit. This isn't a friendly match. It's Fiorentina, Milan.
It depends on how the game is going, right? Yeah.
But you literally have, if you have a bomber, let them take the penalty because they're more likely going to score it because they're more confident, whatever. 15 minutes later, it was a truly heartbreaking moment for Milan as former fan favourite Yassin Adli scored an incredible low-driven strike into the corner. He scored an incredible low-driven strike from the corner of the penalty box in off the post to make it 1-0, and naturally he didn't celebrate. Just before the break, Milan won a penalty themselves as Reinders was brought down by Ranieri after a brilliant pass by Pulisic. Theo stepped up and De Gea saved his attempt. So that's another non-penalty taker stepping up ahead of the penalty taker, which is very interesting because not like Theo's dying for a goal, he's just the captain, and I think he just slapped his dick out on the table and showed that terrible attitude once again. Milan won another penalty early in the second half, identical to the one they conceded through Theo's foul on Dodo. This time it was Keane on Gabbia. Abraham stepped up and once again De Gea pulled off a mad save. It wasn't even a bad penalty by Tammy. You see Tomori picking up the ball and handing it to Tammy, Pulisic being like, come on, but Tammy took it, and that's what happens when you employ a lot of friends. On the hour mark, Pulisic scored a sensational volley after a deep cross into the far post by Theo. He cushioned it perfectly into the far corner as he came sprinting into the box. It was an unbelievable goal. Fiorentina found their winner in the 73rd minute as a long ball by De Gea was completely misjudged by this fucking guy Tomori. The ball was brought down by Keane and Goodmanson finished expertly into the bottom corner on a half volley. Later on, De Gea denied Chukwueze. Keane absolutely counted the crossbar with the best effort I've ever seen in my life. And Theo got sent off after the final whistle for giving Pareto an earful. So, a lot to uncover over here. Let's talk instantly about the penalties. 3 missed penalties, Keane, Theo and Abraham. What is it about the rigoristi not taking the penalties?
So I do think that it's a matter of lifting a player who is not necessarily down, but who could use a bit more confidence, right? Goodmanson's flying. He's not shy of anything right now. He's totally confident on the ball. He is everything. He orchestrates everything that Fiorentina have been doing lately. Giving the penalty to Keane and having him score it would mean that maybe you have another player who's kind of feeling himself in the offensive line. I don't like it, especially when it's an important moment like this, an important game, an important stage. The score is tied, for example, you need to score them. You need to put your guy there and he needs to score. He needs to prove himself that he's the guy to take these penalties. If you're playing against Lecce and you've got a 2-0, 3-0 lead, sure, go for it. Let's fucking Mike Maignan take the penalty, It doesn't matter, But in these moments, there's no room for playing around. And Fonseca did say after the game that he is incazzato, that he's pissed off. He's bloody pissed off. I have an opinion about that. If he's so pissed off now, he should have voiced his opinion at the time. No, he should have definitely made himself heard. It's not up to Pulisic to go and say, like, listen, I'm the captain, I take the penalty. I'm the captain, I'm the rigorista, right? I mean, sure, he could really put himself forward and be assertive and take the ball and claim it. But the way it was, he's got Abraham and Tomori who are like two best giants friends next to him. And best friends. The ball was coming down. Tomori jumped over Pulisic and grabbed it and just handed it to Abraham. He would have had to make a scene to take that penalty. And making a scene before a penalty is foolish to do.
In fact, I really respect Pulisic for not doing that. It's more to me, so I respect Pulisic for doing that because he didn't put anyone under pressure. He didn't put himself under pressure. He didn't put any of his teammates under pressure. I think this is down to Fonseca. If Fonseca actually made it clear in pre-season, before the game, whatever, listen, Pulisic is a rigorista, and the players don't respect that, then that's a problem Fonseca has, because he doesn't have the trust of his players. Now, we looked at Fonseca, now let's look at the players. What the fuck are these guys doing? Theo Hernandez, who just stepped up and took the first one. And I'm sure if Fonseca was so pissed off about that, then he would have said in halftime, the next penalty is Pulisic's. But Tomori is the guy that pissed me off the most. Now, obviously, Tammy stepped up and took it himself, so he's just as wrong as Tomori. But Tomori is a senior over there, man. He's been there for ages. It's Abraham's first season. Pulisic has clearly earned the right. He's on top form. We've already missed a penalty. You need someone that's going to step up and that is more likely going to score it because of the sheer confidence that he currently has. And he's also, it's a specialist. Tammy has a good record as well. But he took one and he scored one.
Yeah.
And you've got them ganging up on the star player. Ganging up on him.
Yeah.
That's what I absolutely hate. And I do think there is a strong importance of having a rigorista in the team. You look at Napoli, they never have problems, just like Roma never had problems and Inter never had problems when they had Lukaku. Look at Inter now, they never have any problems because they have Çalhanoğlu. Just one rigorista that even if they miss one the next game, they're going to step up and they're going to take it. It is their responsibility to score from the spot.
Exactly. No, amen, brother. And I do think that Fonseca didn't make himself heard at the time. Probably the first reason being not to make a scene. Because we saw what happened at Chelsea when there was a whole fight over the penalty. And not to mention the fact that had Fonseca made a whole scene shouting, Pulisic, hey, it's your penalty, and then he missed it, he would have got the blame for it 100%. And probably out of fear,
he decided passing the buck. Quiet. Everyone's passing the buck. I think we're discrediting the goalkeeper slightly.
No, fantastic saves, yes.
De Gea, he saved 3 penalties in 8 years at United.
Yes.
3 penalties in 8 years at United. And he's already saved 3 for Fiorentina in less than a month.
Some time off apparently is what he needed for some mental clarity,
some meditation,
some meditation, some holidays, some time.
Yeah, that brilliant game at De Gea. He was
really good. He even had an amazing save on Chukwueze as well towards the end. He was great. Maignan actually saved the penalty and caught me off guard, to be honest, because he hadn't saved one in a while.
It was a shit penalty by Moise.
It wasn't great.
It wasn't excellent. And the final question when it comes to the penalties is, were they penalties? Because I didn't agree that Fiorentina's was a penalty. I thought that the contact was minimal. And that is what I call a sporting act. It is like they do it in Formula 1 when it's no one's fault kind of thing. When there's a collision of cars, it's a sporting incident. These things happen. And the same with the penalty on Gabbia. I didn't think that was a penalty either. I thought the only penalty was the one on Pulisic, personally. Again, hate discussing this, but...
yes, because at the end of the day, okay, so the whole Dodo and Theo Hernandez collision wasn't in a dangerous place.
No.
And that's why it seems harsh. But had that happened right in front of the goalkeeper, clear penalty, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you have to look at penalties in a subjective way, in a fair way. And that's the whole problem, right? It's very difficult to be subjective and to be fair at the same time. Objectivity in penalties is something that is very difficult to achieve, and I do think that the rule needs to be revised in some ways, perhaps even to encourage some interpretation. I like the idea of intent. You can tell when a player intends to foul. You can tell when a player intends to play the ball. Again, massive grey area, but I think it's the best we can do, because in a situation like that, man, all of a sudden you go for... Imagine you had to look at the XG of these situations. A penalty is what? What's the
0.8.
0.8. And from where Dodo won the foul, the XG would have been
0.1.
Exactly. Exactly. What the hell? It doesn't make any sense.
No, it's not fair. I don't think it's fair, and I do agree that there needs to be some kind of revision, but I think we're always going to have this problem when it comes to penalties, because if you allow it to be subjective, and then there's going to be preference, if you're going to make it one rule, then it's not fair on the ones that aren't studs up, tackle into the balls. But that's enough about the penalties.
One more point I have to mention, by the way, is both penalty takers for Milan, Theo and Abraham, and I believe this is something Alan said on the group chat. He pointed out, and it's true, they were looking at the ball the entire time. Not once did they look up.
It's true. De Gea dove before the penalty was taken in the second one. I noticed that.
So look at the goalkeeper.
Ivan Toney. I think one of the reasons Milan struggled in this match, apart from the misfortune, was for facing Fiorentina's man-for-man approach. And I don't think ever since Milan got their shit together that they faced a team quite like Fiorentina. And you look at Fiorentina's record, they have losses to Atalanta, who also play man-for-man. They have draws against Parma, Venezia, Monza, and Empoli that mostly play man-for-man. And their wins came against Lazio and Milan, who play obviously very zonal. They actually play in very similar ways, Lazio and Milan. So I do think that stylistically this match could have favoured Fiorentina a little bit.
Yes. If you look at Atalanta, they were a dark horse for Milan for quite a while.
Yeah.
And it was a whole man-for-man thing, right? Pioli had seemed to have that figured out towards the end. After
changed his approach, particularly against Atalanta.
With players swapping positions, remember? Like overlapping, confusing the defenders, so they don't know. Yeah, so they never know who to mark. And that would have been very clever, this game. However, yes, man, it was man for a man. It was clumsy. It was end-to-end, action-packed, fast-paced, and it was by no means a refined game of football.
No.
Not at all.
A lot of mistakes, a lot of fights, a lot of drama. Biggest mistake to me came from Tomori. Sorry, I thought you were clicking something on the soundboard.
It's a low battery.
Tomori totally. The guy got an assist when you think about. No, Moise Kean cushioned it down, but. That long ball by De Gea, completely misjudged by Tomori, and an average centre-back clears that, man. An average centre-back makes quick work of that ball.
You have Luperto or Dossena there, for example. It's gone. It's gone. It's
debate.
Gone. Yeah.
No debate.
Tomori is a really good recovery centre-back, and in certain situations, he's elite. There aren't many better than him, for example, on the break or on a counter when you need a man to go in and make a last-ditch tackle. He's great at that. However, man, there are certain moments where he's so erratic, he's so frantic. Hey, Tomori,
it's like he has zero confidence at times, man. Like, how don't you attack that? How don't you attack it? How do you misjudge a ball you've been defending for all these years? Are you a professional? I don't get it.
And a mistake like that might warrant a game on the bench. Huh? It might warrant a Pavlovic-Gabia start. Plus, I'm curious to see Pavlovic-Gabia. Why not? I want to see what that looks like. I'm not saying that Tomori should be benched indefinitely, but when there's competition, it's moments like this that give opportunities to players who deserve it. Because Pavlovic, as clumsy as he was at times in the first few games where he played, he showed moments of brilliance.
Yeah.
You know?
Similar to Tomori in that sense, that at times he could be erratic, but he's got the excuse of age, and this is the biggest stage he's ever played in. Tomori's been there for years now. I think he should be much better. I don't think Tomori ever improved, which is the significant problem of his career at Milan. A couple more points, bro. Pulisic, 4 goals in 4 consecutive Serie A matches. A brilliant goal over here, showing us that he is a leader. He's consistent, and that quite frankly, he is the star of this Milan team, and it has been that way for the entirety of the season. I think we barely saw Leao in this match, and it was all Christian Pulisic, and just what a professional. Even with the penalty situation, after the goal, he didn't over celebrate. He went to get the ball and to continue. I'm in love with this fucking American guy, man. He's completely... If it weren't for him, Milan would be in a completely different space right now.
Absolutely. So first of all, yes, you're definitely in love with him because you go to your barber and you tell him the Chrissy P, please.
Absolutely.
Look at that. There we go.
Look at that.
There we go. But he is such a great player, man. When it comes to his leadership qualities, perhaps he's not a vocal leader, and he has been criticized for being shy, but I mean, not everyone is an outspoken leader. You know, he's a leader by his actions on the pitch.
Damn it, guys, coach is right!
Because it sounds like that, unfortunately.
He needed one of those moments, I'm telling you. You know, when Tomori and Abraham were fucking broing each other out, you know, just fucking grabbing the ball and passing it to each other and hogging it while the assigned rigoristas there looking at them saying, no, it's mine. The coach told me it's mine. You know?
This is what it would be. It would be Fonseca. Guys, Pulisic is our rigorista. Pulisic.
Damn it, guys, coach is right!
Shut up, bled.
The performance of Ranieri is something I want to discuss. Obviously, he did give away a penalty, but otherwise he was
what a game he
was
played.
Incredible. Wow. Ranieri,
and this goes to show the pattern that is Lucas Martinez Quarta, by the way, because he gets a game ahead of Ranieri. He scores. Everyone's like, all right, then he should be the starter. Plays another game, you know, has a mech game, gets benched. Ranieri has a good game, and they're like, oh, okay, Ranieri should start now because he's obviously the better defender.
Yeah.
You know, Quarta's given another opportunity. He scores again. It's very confusing.
It is, man. It is. But for a 2 at the back system, I do like having more pragmatic centre backs like Ranieri and Comuzzo.
He was old school this game, Ranieri.
Yeah, man. He was so good. He was so good, Ranieri, in this game. His tackling was really, really clean. I'm just going to speed through the rest of my points because I don't want to be an hour about discussing this game. Theo Hernandez had a dreadful performance, and after the game ended, he complained to the referee, probably told him something abysmal, and now he's missing 2 matches, and that is the only fucking position that Milan don't have a direct replacement for. And fuck me, I think it might be Emerson Royal on the left and Calabria on the right if it comes down to it, which would be dreadful, man.
Bartesaghi surely would be back, right?
Bartesaghi would be back. Is it ideal is the question.
I think it's better than an inverted option, to be honest.
He's missing Udinese and Bologna, man. Udinese and Bologna.
Yeah. Theo is no longer a young boy. He needs to improve his mentality, man. He needs to improve his professionalism.
Okay,
it's not enough to be a loyal servant.
And I said that the penalty was harsh against Theo, but was very lackadaisical defending. And there was a VAR check because once again he was way too chill on the ball and he clattered another player and it wasn't given as a penalty.
Exactly.
And there I was like, oh my god, that's
I was sure they were going to give another one.
Same. And he really did have an abysmal performance, and to be honest, 2 games in the stands could do him some good. And there's also some stalling with his contract situation where apparently they're asking for 8 million and he's currently on 4.5, so we'll see what happens over there. He is contracted until 2026. I think we fit everything. Just one more, okay? Moise Kean missed a penalty, gave away a penalty, just like Theo, who missed a penalty and gave away a penalty. But Moise Kean looked really disappointed after the game about his performance, but he got himself an assist. He hit the crossbar in incredible fashion, and every time he plays Milan, he looks incredible. His hold-up play, his pace, the control he has of the ball. To me, he had an excellent game. I know he gave away a penalty and he missed one, but he looked so good, man. And he deserves
lively.
his call-up for the national team.
Absolutely. And then that's what the main difference, I think, was between both teams, man. You see Fiorentina, man, their players just wanted it more. They hustled, man. You see Adli, for example, he won most of his duels.
Yeah.
You know, same with Moise Kean. Moise Kean was a nightmare for Gabbia this game, you know, and Gabbia's no weak player, you know, but he's just so strong, and his center of gravity is quite low as well. It's good because he squats forward when he gets the ball. He becomes...
That strike, man, by Keane was incredible.
It was angry.
Hit the crossbar, man. That was unbelievable.
The way we looked at each other. Jesus Christ.
I at that point, bro, I wanted it to go in. Like I wanted it to clatter the crossbar, hit the ground, clatter the crossbar again, and go in like a prime Yeboah. Would have been insane. But disappointing result for Milan. I don't think anyone deserved to lose over here. I think a draw probably would have been the most fair result, considering Milan had so many opportunities to score. But yeah, big victory for Fiorentina. They only had one win this season. Their wins come against Lazio and Milan. So things are looking a bit brighter for them now. And last thing, Goodmanson. The result of his case, I guess, comes out tomorrow. The verdict.
I'm not sure if it's the verdict, but we're gonna get an update for sure tomorrow, 10th of October. We'll see. What happened. Yeah.
Stay tuned.
So yes, I think we can move on to Juve 1, Cagliari 1, brother.
Yes,
so Juve lined up in their 4-2-3-1 formation with Di Gregorio in goal, Cambiaso, Gatti, Kalulu and Savona at the back. This new pairing of Gatti and Kalulu seems to be the way forward for them with Bremer's injury. Massive loss for them, of course. We have mentioned how he's a different profile to Calafiori, to what Motta's used to, in the way that he isn't progressive with the ball, but when it comes to his defensive ability, he's a world beater.
Probably the best in the league in that sense.
Yeah. And it's a massive loss for them. Even to compete in the Champions League, Bremer would have been good against the top teams. You know, they have City, for example, they've been good in that game. Thuram and Locatelli were in the middle with Imbangula on the left, Conceição on the right, and Koopmeiners playing behind Vlahovic. For Cagliari, it was a 4-2-3-1 formation that looked more like a 4-4-2, to be honest, sometimes.
Or 4-4-1-1, I think. Like.
Yeah, kind of like a 4-4-1-1. This is most definitely wrong over here, but I think I can correct this. Scuffet was in goal with Obert, Luperto. No, sorry, it's probably Augello, Luperto, Mina. This is fucked, brother.
This is a disgrace.
What does it say on yours? Because mine has Augello trequartista.
I think it would be a 3-4-1-1.
It's 3 at the back for sure, because Mina, Luperto, Obert were at the back, Zappa on the right, Augello on the left, and then Zortea playing. So it's like a 3-4-3, sorry. With Zortea on the right, Viola on the left, and Piccoli up front, something like that.
I guess.
And Makumbu in the middle as well, something like that. Cagliari's formation looked like a 4-4-2 on the pitch. Let's just say that. Okay, the missing players for this game were, of course, Bremer. Nico Gonzalez also got injured for Juventus. Milik, Pogba and Wea were out. Jankto, Lapadula, Pavoletti and Vietesca were out for Cagliari. Now, Juve took the lead early this game through a penalty converted by Vlahovic in the 15th minute, awarded after Gatti's header was deflected by Luperto's hand. Juve controlled much of the first half, but failed to extend their advantage with opportunities from Koopmeiners and Vlahovic going unconverted.
Yeah.
Cagliari did grow into the game in the second half, and their persistence paid off late. In the 88th minute, they were awarded a penalty after Piccoli was fouled by Douglas Luiz. Marin calmly slotted away the penalty, levelling the score. There were several notable moments. Juve's Conceição was sent off in the 89th minute for a simulation and a second yellow card, leaving Juve to finish the game with 10 men. What did you think of that episode, by the way?
Let's start with that. It was a simulation.
It was a simulation, but the yellow card is very... There was contact, you know. I mean, he did push him down, but I think it's the way he rolled around, and he probably pissed off the referee. You know, the referee probably felt provoked by that.
Yeah, and he must have said something as well. I do think Conceição is also one of those characters that maybe gets on the ref's nerves a little bit, persistently speaking to the ref and screaming, so on and so forth. And I think enough was enough.
He was on his knees, bro, begging for that.
He tried to win a penalty over there. It wasn't a penalty, and I think a yellow card was deserved. It's always harsh because like there was some element of contact. It's not like there was zero contact, but made an absolute meal of it.
Absolutely.
I can't remember what he got the first yellow card for, but
I can check. Tripping.
He tripped someone.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly. Yes. So Cagliari also had a goal disallowed following a VAR check, adding to the drama. Both sides pushed for the winner in the dying moments, and Juve actually came very close when Fagioli's corner struck the woodwork.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's going to have a lot to say at the end of this episode.
Yeah,
about
probably. Quite an outspoken fellow on the pod.
Exactly, on the podcast, because in his personal life...
it's quite quiet.
Yes, so he did hit the woodwork, and then Juve had a penalty appeal towards the end of the game for a barge on Savona, a brutal barge. To me, this was... It deserved a check, at least, I think, because the way he clarted him to the ground, there was no intention of playing the ball over there. It has to be said, we have to be fair here.
It was malicious.
It was malicious.
Yeah.
I think that Juve struggled to maintain their dominance after the first half. While their attacking moves in the opening 45 minutes were sharp, they lacked what Motta said they managed the ball too much, which is very Allegri-esque, which is when you play the ball around a little bit instead of just focusing on attacking. Motta did say that their mistake was not taking advantage of their possession in the first half to capitalize on their chances. They did create a lot, but of course they never managed to close the game out, and it never felt that Cagliari were totally out of the game in this one.
No, and I think it's their fault for not killing the game. I think they had many opportunities to kill the game. I thought that Vlahovic once again had quite a bad performance. He missed an absolute sitter from a rebound, man. At a point he
put
it wide. He had an open goal, and I think it's like that's the simple fact. I think Motta's right that Juve seem like they think too much on the ball and they don't quite flow yet in the same way that Bologna were flowing last season or the way that Napoli are flowing right now. It almost looks to me like they are thinking too much on the ball.
Yes. They're thinking too much, and I'm not sure if the lack of intent to go forward at times was an instruction by Motta. I mean, it must have been. He didn't specifically take the blame for it, but I do wonder why they didn't attack more. It must have been an instruction. Everything's an instruction.
Yeah.
The sport is very complex. Yes, it has to be said as well that Nicola took a page out of Ranieri's playbook and did save a few players for the second half, which did help Cagliari have two moments of dominance. Not for very long, but they did have moments where they had more of the ball than Juve, particularly towards the middle of the second half and towards the end. That's how they operate, Cagliari. They have chances at the beginning of the half and at the end of the half. That's it. And perhaps one here and there in the middle, right? If you look at the
it's always map, dramatic,
That's how it is, yes. So he brought on Luvumbo, Gaetano and Marin all in the second half. So that did give them a new lease of life over there. They were playing against a new team, essentially.
And Mutwanda as well, that came on for Zortea. He's no joke, Mutwanda as well.
Absolutely not. Juve had given a lot against Leipzig, so maybe their management of the game was more of a fitness conserving kind of thing. You know, the Leipzig game was with 10 men for 30 minutes. Yeah. You know, they
ran themselves to the ground.
They left everything on that pitch. So probably that's why they didn't capitalize on their 1-0 lead because it's been unlike them. They either draw 0-0 or win 3-0. You know, there's no in between usually.
No, it's definitely fatigue. I want to also comment on Douglas Luiz because this was the supposedly star signing, 50 million, an absolute coup from Aston Villa for this world-class, very versatile midfielder that in the beginning when Motta wasn't bringing him on and he wasn't starting him, it just seemed like maybe he was easing him into things. He showed certain qualities when coming on, but never really stood out, never really had the opportunity to stand out. And as he has been given more opportunities, he has shown us a lot of shortcomings. Very basic errors, chances missed, giving the ball away, controlling the ball badly, and just at the moment, Kefren, Locatelli, Fagioli, and McKennie are looking much more deployable than this guy.
I mean, Douglas Luiz came on. He had one aerial duel and he lost it. He had 3 ground duels and he lost them all. He attempted one dribble, he didn't manage it. He had one shot on target. This was the best thing he did. One shot on target. It was spilled by the goalkeeper, and that's when Vlahovic missed his opportunity. So he could have technically contributed to a winning goal over there. 92% passes completion, so 35 out of 38. That's quite smooth, but safe passes.
I mean, forget this game. Overall, he has really been struggling.
He's been underwhelming. And to be honest, he hasn't had much time. Not everyone hits the ground running, and it's quite unfair, the criticism he's getting, I think. But the 50 million price tag puts a lot of pressure on him to perform, right? And that's just the reality of football. Because
but it's not only the 50 million, it's the fact that he was performing so fucking well at Aston Villa, and now he came to Juventus not performing up to scratch.
Yes,
I think for fans, sure, the 50 million thing is a big deal.
Yeah.
For him, the simple fact of the matter is that he absolutely killed it at Aston Villa. He's come to Juve, and okay, 7 games in, he's still struggling. He still has a lot of time to turn things around, and there's a lot of rotation. But I was more expecting him to be the first name on the team sheet.
And now he'll probably get more of an opportunity because Coop Miners has injured his rib and he'll be out for a while. Yes, I think he fractured it. I'm not quite sure, but Douglas Luiz will get a few starts, and hopefully this will help him kind of settle into the team a little bit more. Yes, nice gesture from Vlahovic, by the way, after he scored the penalty, to hold up Bremer's shirt with the team after the goal, showing that their centre back is in their thoughts. He's still with them and they're with him. A few more talking points. Aubert hit the post after Marin's goal, so this could have been an absolute disaster for Juve from a distance. It was quite a good strike. And then, of course, Fagioli hit the post at the end of the game. Yerry Mina had a moment. Have you heard about the whole Yerry Mina incident?
No.
So after Cagliari's goal, after Marin's goal, Yerry Mina did a square gesture with his hand, aiming it towards the Juve fans. And the square gesture, Lena had to explain to me because I didn't understand it. Cuadrado means square in Spanish.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so he was cuadrado, doing a square in kind of like to support Cuadrado because he had been mistreated by Juve. Yeah. So he kind of flexed that and he got a yellow card for it, which is quite funny. Like, how is this offensive?
Literally.
Like, if you do this, the fans will get booked as well. Like, like what? When you draw the
just buzz down to the fans.
Exactly.
It's absolutely over.
Yeah, and that was pretty much it. I do think fatigue played a big part for this. For Juve, they did have an XG of 3.18, ball possession of 74%, 21 goal attempts with 9 shots on target. They should have won this one. They should have done better. Big misses by Vlahovic and Coop Miners. They had an off day, definitely.
And not to mention their first goal conceded this season and the first game without Bremer. So there you go.
Good point.
There you go.
Raz Van Maren strikes again.
Exactly.
The dead ball specialist. Except if it's on my fantasy football in the 92nd minute, because then he thinks he's playing rugby.
Next up, Inter 3, Torino 2. Inter were coming off a 3-2 away win against Udinese and a 3-0 win against Red Star Belgrade, whilst Torino were coming off a 3-2 loss to Lazio, all these 3-2s. Inter had Barella and Buchanan still injured, while Toro missed Shures, Savva and Ilkan, but Vanja Milinkovic-Savic returned after a knock, and coach Paolo Vanoli actually sat out a touchline ban. There's a 3-5-2 formation for Inzaghi's men with Sommer in goal and a backline of Bastoni, Acerbi and Bissek, DeMarco on the left, Darmian on the right, and the midfield trio of Mkhitaryan, Çalhanoğlu and Frattesi, with Thuram and Lautaro starting up front together. It was absolutely man for man as Torino also lined up in a 3-5-2 formation, Vanja in goal and a backline of Valukovic, Maripan and Saul Kokko. Pedersen on the right, Lazzaro on the left, and a midfield trio of Ricci, Linetti and Ginetis, with Zapata starting up front alongside Shea Adams. Now, Maripan was shown a straight red card in the 20th minute after a VAR check for a late tackle on Thuram, where his studs were absolutely showing. As a result of that, Adams was brought off for Mazina instantly. 20 minutes into their match against Inter, Torino need to do it with 10 men. Inter took advantage immediately, as 4 minutes later, Thuram headed in a Bastoni cross. And in the 34th minute, the Frenchman headed in once again, but this time after an Acerbi cross. 2-0 Inter versus 10-man Torino 30 minutes in. However, just 1 minute later, Torino surprisingly snatched one back through Duvan Zapata, making the most of a through ball by Ginetis and some questionable defending by Bissek, who rushed out and completely mistimed his tackle, creating the pocket of space for Duvan to attack. Thuram sealed his hat-trick on the hour mark as a result of another cross into the area. This time Lautaro's header was saved and Thuram bagged in the rebound. And Vlasic netted a penalty in the 86th minute after Mazina was brought down by Hakan Çalhanoğlu. This happened 2 minutes after Zapata was stretchered off in tears as his season is over following a tear to his cruciate ligament. Very sad to see over there. 3-2 victory for Inter. Perhaps not as convincing as they would have liked, considering that they were against a 10-man Torino. Let's start off by discussing Duvan Zapata and what a huge loss it is for Torino, not only because he's on form, but because he is the only target man that they have, and they have literally employed Shea Adams to feed Duvan Zapata, and they have Sanabria to feed Zapata. A, how will he recover? He's going to be 34 next year. And B, is Balotelli an adequate replacement for him?
So Balotelli has always been and will always be a wild card.
Yes.
You never know what you're going to get. If you've got a locked-in, focused Balotelli who wants to play and who's loved and who is given an important role, you might get a fucking good player.
Yeah.
The thing is, he hasn't played at a high level in quite a while, you know. I mean,
we've seen the goals he's been scoring in the Turkish League, doing 24 step overs.
Yeah, that was last season or the season before.
I think the season before. He's a free agent right now.
Yes.
Mario.
He was also at Brescia, where he looked a little bit heavy. And at Monza as well, back in Serie B. However, he does look leaner nowadays, especially when he was playing in Turkey. He was on good form, as you said, scoring some very Balotelli-esque goals. I think it's worth the shot, to be honest, if his salary isn't too outrageous. Yeah. Why not? I think this is an injury that requires them to dip into the free agent market, and there aren't many options. Caputo, Choupo-Moting, I think, is a free agent, might be an interesting option to explore. You know, I mean, he's PSG a target,
and Bayern Munich on his CV.
Exactly. Again, it depends on their condition, and this isn't even a quick fix. You bring in a free agent, you need some time to get them in. The thing is, there's the international break now. You know, make it happen. You need to make something happen, because as it stands right now, they're gonna have to go into the games with Shea Adams and Sanabria up front and no sub. Essentially,
no, that's it.
Unless they have a ginormous youth product, or they want to try deputize Karamoh. I'm not sure.
Do you think he'll recover? Well, he is going to be 34, and it is risky getting an injury at that age, obviously.
So I think, judging by his play style, how it revolves a lot around strength and technique, he could recover and have.
He's also a physical specimen,
yes.
So
exactly, he's always physically
and a mental warrior.
The thing is that you never know how he'll take it mentally, if he'll be in high spirits or not. We saw him towards the end of Atalanta. He was perfectly healthy, and it seemed like his morale had dipped, and he was so demoralized and he looked finished. And now suddenly he gets this new lease of life, and he's out, you know, for the rest of the season. So
devastating.
I would be surprised if we saw Duvan Zapata back scoring 10 goals a season.
But can you imagine the press with Sanabria and Shea Adams up front? It's good for a Vanoli.
I think it's Vanoli knockdown, long ball press. Press on the first touch.
That's why Zapata was so good as well, because on the odd occasion they can even win the ball up front. With Shea Adams and Sanabria, sure they can win the ball, but not to the extent that Duvan can outmuscle defenders. But for the press, they could be they're quite deployable together.
Absolutely.
Inter once again struggled defensively, conceding 2 goals against 10 men, and they've conceded 4 goals in their last 2 Serie A matches against Udinese and Torino. Over here we saw another mistake by Bissek, unfortunately for him, and we have been seeing individual errors by their defenders. It does seem like it's a bit of a persisting issue at the moment.
They're definitely leakier than they have been in the past few seasons. which is funny because it's the same team. The only problem for them is that the Champions League has become harder.
Yeah.
The Champions League now has more games and harder games. Let's be real. Rotation is going to be a massive factor, and some of their options either don't have the experience, because Inzaghi he isn't a manager to rotate.
No.
He's a manager to start with the strongest, get a lead, and then if anything, bring on the guys when there's no pressure.
He's the guy that always gets with his ex.
When you have Fratesi and Bissek starting important games, it's something that they're not exactly used to. Bissek had a spell, I believe, last season when he started a few games towards
when he debutized, if that's a word. When he debutized, whatever.
Yeah.
He had a very good run, and we're praising how technical he is, how well he could play the ball out from the back as well. But he really has looked leaky, and it's his second mistake this season.
So that's the thing, right? You rotate the players, and they're inexperienced. You have this well-oiled system, and you have players who are maybe lacking confidence, maybe who aren't as familiar as they should be, and you end up leaking more. Yeah. So I'm curious to see how this will continue to develop for them. They do have, in theory, their depth is great. However, for example, when it comes to midfielders who can win the ball back,
with Barella out of the team at the moment,
there isn't a single one on the bench, at least, because Mickey and Çalhanoğlu, as we always say, are super industrious and love to track back. Aslani's in that profile, and he's the only midfielder on the
Barella
bench,
as well
really.
loves
And
to track
Zielinski.
back. Barella loves to track back, but he's out injured at the moment.
Yeah.
So Fratesi isn't that guy at all.
Exactly. Nor is Zielinski. Yeah.
Exactly. And we also see lapses of concentration. You saw it last season. Inter hadn't conceded in the last 15 minutes of a match for pretty much the entirety of the season. I think it was like 5 games before the season ended that they finally conceded one 15 minutes before the game ended. Over here, 2 in 2 weeks. Here we saw Hakan give away a penalty, as like you said, their midfield was bypassed quite easily, as it was in the first goal as well. A few defensive issues for Inter. They're not as sharp as they were last season, and I am a bit worried for them. I'm sure they'll pick it up and they'll be motivated. They're a fantastic squad. They play brilliant football and they have a great manager. Their forwards are ridiculous. They have various talents. But it does seem that structurally they're not as sound as they were last season.
And it's all down to fatigue. Because you can't get these players 100% all the time. That's it. So that's pretty much Inter's problem.
Shout out to Torino, who played well with 10 men.
Yes, that's it. And Maripan was having a good game, poor guy, before he got sent off. He was pretty much flawless, and then he got a red card.
The name Maripan really confusing.
It's like a butter, no?
They could marzipan, marzipan,
marzipan, bro?
Marzipan is something that you add to like a cake. I learned it from the Great British Bake Off.
Sweet.
The Great British Bake Off. Boom! Jake's looking up what marzipan is.
Sugar and almond meal, sometimes augmented with almond oil or extract.
I think it's really good at holding ingredients together, like in a cake. Whatever.
Not much of a baker myself, personally.
Thuram, hattrick, brilliant performance. All the goals did come from Torino's right-hand side. Let's check out who the defender is and let's make fun of him. Nice, Pedersen. Every cross came in from your side. If you are Emerson Royal with shit on you, so nice one, Pedersen. It's interesting to me how Inter attacked, because you had Bastoni delivering the first cross, which is normal, even though it's typically DeMarco. It was Bastoni. Second one, Acerbi.
Acerbi, yeah.
Very
Maybe
weird.
that's a way to tackle the man for man.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thuram, gorgeous goals. Brilliant player, top scorer without taking any penalties.
You think he'll be one of those soldiers for Inter like Lautaro has been, or the second, because Inter are a massive team. But you think the second, like a PSG or Real Madrid come knocking with a massive salary, you think he'll go?
I don't know, man. I think it's...
Because he's going to get international recognition for this season, because he's been super so
absolutely. He'll be top scorer, I think. It's more down to Inter's financial situation than it is to his preferences, I would say. I think Inter might cash in.
The thing is, they sell, man. They're willing to sell, always, you know.
And they always replace adequately. So as long as they've got something in their pocket, I think that's something they can do.
Let Marotta cook.
Exactly. I think we can move on, bro, if you'd like.
Sure. I would like that.
Nice. So would I.
Fantastic. The next game is Napoli 3-1. Yes, Napoli, dude, by the way. This whole congestion shit. You have Milan playing against Leverkusen, giving everything, and then having to go play against Fiorentina. Again, another bloodbath, you know, players losing temper, players fatigued. Inter having to play City, you know, midweek, and then having to go and play a game.
Juve, Leipzig.
Exactly. And then you have Napoli.
Yes.
Like this, yeah. Game by game.
All part of the plan.
All fucking shaking with adrenaline from Conte's speeches daily in the training ground, you know.
Other teams have to be careful because Napoli, very much under Conte. Conte is the CEO of just continuously winning matches, and he is the manager I would want if my team has a 5-point lead at the top. Because he's not going to give up that lead. He's not going to give up that lead.
That's a very good point. It's true. Conte is incredible when it comes to these things, man. And everyone's so united at Napoli right now.
Yeah.
So they've got Conte for the adrenaline, and what's his name for the coffee? Is it Tony?
I don't know his name. I don't know his
name.
The
guy who, big
Baron Cafe.
Exactly, the big boy who keeps sticking his tongue out with Mertens.
Just to be clear, Napoli are 2 points ahead on top. I used 5 points as an example.
Yes, before you correct us.
What are gonna do?
They never do.
No, that's true. Just stop talking.
Napoli lined up with a 4-3-3 formation with Caprile in goal, Oliveira on the left and Di Lorenzo on the right, with Buongiorno and Rahmani as a centre-back partnership.
Buongiorno.
McTominay, Lobotka and Anguissa were the midfield three, with Kvaratskhelia on the left and Politano on the right. And Big Rom up front as the
Thing in the Big Rom with Squidward on the right.
Audero was in goal for Como on their 4-2-3-1 formation, with Van der, and his name is cropped out. Van der Kemp, is it?
Van der Brempt.
Van der Brempt as the right back. Dossena.
Not to be confused with Van der Sar, guys. Don't confuse him with Van der Sar or Van der Vaart.
Yes, so Van der Brempt was on the right, Moreno on the left, and Kempf and Dossena as the centre-back partnership. Sergio
Kempf,
Roberto.
not to be confused with the book.
Wow.
Go on.
Definitely not my Kempf, that's Como's Kempf. So Sergio Roberto and Verona were the midfield double pivot, with Strefezza on the right, Fadera on the left, and Cutrone playing up front, with Nico Paz playing behind him. As for unavailable players, just a pair each, Meret and Rui for Napoli, with Barba and Cherry for Como. Big loss, Cherry?
Yeah, huge.
Massive loss, yes.
Poor guy.
The match began with a dream start for Napoli as Scott McTominay found the back of the net within the first minute of the game. However, Como managed to fight back and equalize just before halftime through Strefezza, whose long-ranged bullet from a distance was a snipe. He sniped
This
the
was
ball
an
in.
honorable mention that we forgot to mention.
Well, we're mentioning
But
it
it's
now.
honorable.
Strefezza, who shot threaded between Buongiorno's legs and caught Napoli goalkeeper Caprile off guard. In the second half, Napoli took control again, with Oliveira winning a penalty after combining with Lukaku. Lukaku converted from the spot to give Napoli the lead in the 53rd minute. Como's efforts to equalize were consistently stifled in the second half as Conte had them tightening the ship. They were well organized and tactically disciplined. As the game drew to a close, Lukaku's hold-up play created a clear chance for David Neres, who didn't fail to score in the 86th minute, slotting the ball into the bottom corner. That bit of link-up play by Lukaku was absolutely phenomenal.
Like this, bro.
Mind you unplug the mic. It's true, man. Lukaku just gets all up in your shit, bro. No respect for boundaries, no respect for personal space. He backs into you and there's nothing you can do about it. There's no going around it. There's nothing you can do.
It's like a girl that likes you in the club starts backing up on you, putting her hand around your head.
And the vision for the through ball was
incredible. An incredible through pass.
Incredible.
And he hasn't travelled for international duty, so he can have 2 weeks off.
Jesus
I hope
Christ.
it doesn't get fat again.
It's going to be jizzle, bro. What are you talking about? So Napoli did dominate possession this game, especially in the second half. Conte's adjustments did tighten the structure of Napoli, and they nullified Como's attacks. Como's early press caused many issues for Napoli, and they dominated for quite a lot of the first half. I would say most of the first half was Como dominating. They hit the post through Nico Paz with another ferocious strike. One of those when you hit the ball and the ball isn't spinning in midair and it's just powerful and still and moving. It looks incredible when you watch it from a distance. So they were very unlucky not to actually take the lead in the first half. But then eventually they couldn't cope with Napoli's changes and the press that came along with that.
No, and I think at the end of the day, Napoli are naturally more refined, whilst Como are still kind of finding their feet. I think despite that, Como really showed us what they're capable of doing in the first half. They've already showed us they beat Atalanta, they got a couple of wins under their belt, but the way they were taking the game to Napoli in the first half and actually looked like the better team. Look at their individuals. They have good players, but bro, Patrick Cutrone up front with Strefezza on the right, Fadera on the left, Nico Paz, Sergio Roberto, Perrone, Audero in goal, and a back line that apart from Dossena and Moreno that I had never heard of. Fabregas is insane. He's insane he has them playing this football. Bro has Cutrone looking incredible up front. He has him looking like a genius.
It's true.
And it's
with
all...
the 10, not the 9. He's wearing the number 10.
Of course. And the thing is, to these players, it looks like it's routine. They don't even need to think about it. They know what player is making what run, so they know they can play that first time pass without the Juve effect of having to stop the ball, look up who's available, over-analyzing every situation. It's fast, it's fluid, and they don't need to think when they're playing. But then when pressed to a certain degree and when you're up against a team like Napoli, a team like Conte's Napoli specifically, with Big Rom up front, a guy like Vicha Kvaratskhelia on left, Stanislav Lobotka looking like prime Busquets in this game, because that's what he looked
Even
like.
Fabregas sung his
Unplayable
praises.
he was. Unplayable.
Fabregas said, "Mamma mia, Lobotka, give him to me."
He
That's
said,
literally what he said. Like,
he said he could play with 11 Lobotkas. And you see, the big difference is, you remember earlier this season, we said Lobotka and Anguissa can't play in a double pivot. And sure, they're not, because McTominay is there. He's not exactly a secondary striker, is he? He's got goals in him, but he's quite a central midfielder. But one of our reasons for that is because Lobotka doesn't have the fitness to defend, win the ball back, carry the ball forward, and you do need two of those guys. You need Tonali and Kessie like Milan had, Bennacer and Kessie like Milan had. But bro, was he fucking winning the ball, Lobotka, in this game?
He was.
Dueling, winning the ball. He was beautiful performance.
Him and Anguissa are the type of double pivot that Bennacer and Kessie were back in the day, literally, as you correctly said, because Anguissa does the job of two midfielders, and Lobotka does the job of two midfielders. They're so energetic, they're so physical, and they're very intelligent and technically gifted as well. Anguissa's got a touch on him; it catches me off guard every time.
Not good enough for Fulham though.
What you said about Como is absolutely bang on, brother. They are a team that is composed of kind of fringe Serie A players who have always featured in these relegation battles, and players who are past their best, as well as kind of unknowns, right?
Yeah.
So again, Cutrone, as you mentioned, a relegation kind of player, if it hadn't been for a smart team to pick him up.
You made a good point last episode where you said we thought Cutrone was going to be the first one. They're bringing in players that are more established. You'd think the first thing they're going to do is buy a striker Cesc likes, maybe a 33-year-old experienced Spanish forward, you know?
Yeah. But no, he's stuck with his boy Cutrone. And Nico Paz is a teenager from Real Madrid. Fadera's 22 years old, no one had heard of him. Strefezza, always a player like Lecce, you know how it is. Kind of like a 6-goal a season kind of player who has his moments. Sergio Roberto's past it technically, as is Alberto Moreno. you've got all these players, man, who have never, either who have done it already or who haven't done it already. You don't really have anyone who's kind of in his prime right now.
No.
And killing it, So yeah, I think what he's doing with this team is incredible. And if you give him a team of very good players, I think it would be scary what he could do.
Literally. Yeah. And I wonder if this is a stepping stone in a very luxurious career for Cesc Fabregas. I kind of don't think so, because he's on like the board of directors or some shit with Thierry Henry and some English legend. I should really know who.
That's a good point. Actually, it would be weird if he
views it as a stepping stone. That's a whole ass fucking project. This man, Nico Paz, has a 4-year contract at Como. All Real have is right to first refusal, bro. So if Manchester City go up to Como and say we're going to get him for 60 million, Como have to go, hold on, Florentino Perez, listen, Manchester City are offering 60 million. Okay, we'll offer 60 million. Okay, then he's going to Real. Right to first refusal.
Holy shit.
How did they manage to land that, man?
I have no idea.
Amazing.
Probably with their Indonesian tobacco company.
Literally.
Like no shit, they're good. But anyway, there was a nice back and forth on social media between Napoli and Como, where Napoli fans were praising Como and saying, wow, like what a team, what a project, they looked so good. They really had us in the first half. And Como really respected that, and they were like, listen, in the return leg, we'll buy everyone a beer.
That's incredible, man. It's so fucking good.
Yeah.
That's football for you, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's nice moment, definitely. So yes, other than that, this has probably been Guevara's worst game so far. And
It's true.
And it wasn't even that bad, He was lively.
He just wasn't, like, it's not to say he was trying to do things and failing. He was just a bit absent in this game, which isn't like him.
And it's the complete opposite of what we saw under Garcia. Because under Garcia, it was if Guevara didn't do anything, then no one did anything.
Yeah.
And now you have Guevara having a bit of a stinker, in theory, okay. And his teammates around him making shit happen.
Yeah. Scott McTominay just playing so well at the moment.
He is.
Scott.
He really is. One more thing before we move on is that Strefezza is thriving, man.
Yes,
he's playing
man.
so well.
Yes.
Not just for the goal. We've been saying it all season long so far. He looks really good on the ball. He looks really smart. He seems to have really understood the system, and he's taking pride and he's enjoying playing the system, bro.
And how good is it?
Letting the ball run, linking up with Paz. He's doing really well.
The difference now is because Strefezza was lit at Lecce, and I think Lecce overlooked him a little bit because he was the star of that team. Especially
they cashed in,
right after promotion. But I believe he was loaned out at some point. I don't know. I'm not sure.
He joined a Serie B team from Serie A in the middle of the season, which is crazy.
It's
crazy.
Whack. It's whack. The difference is now he looks even better because he has talented players around him. At Lecce back then, there weren't really many of these guys.
He was playing a counter-attacking system.
Yeah, and it had to be. He was a bit like Suso in that Milan team. He's cutting in and making shit. he's cutting in and making shit happen. It's the same move every time.
Yeah.
Now he's a bit unpredictable. He's playing centrally and pass, and then is going out wide. They're sweeping and swapping together. He's involved in many an attack. He's taking men on 1-for-1. He has a certain confidence about him because he's part of a better team, part of a project, and they believe in him. It's good to see Strefezza playing well like this.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. He's really thriving in this system. But yeah, that is all.
Yes, sir. Next up, Lazio 2, Empoli 1. Lazio were coming off a 3-2 away win against Torino and a 4-1 home win to Nice, whilst Empoli were coming off a 0-0 draw to Fiorentina. Lazio were full of confidence as they're sitting top of the Europa League table with a perfect record, plus last week's victory to, at the time, leaders Torino. Empoli were surprisingly still unbeaten this season despite missing Sazonov, Ebuehi, Perizan, Zurkowski and Bellardinelli, but this time key player Fazzini was back and ready to fuck. It was a 4-2-3-1 formation for Lazio with Provedel in goal and a backline of Lazzari, Hila, Romagnoli and Tavares, a double pivot of Guendouzi and Rovella, Zaccagni on the left, Isaacson on the right and Dia playing behind Castellanos. Very similar to Milan in the sense that they often very much look like a 4-4-2. 3-1-4-2 formation for Empoli with Vasquez in goal and a backline of Goglio, Cise, Ismaili and Viti. Grassi was in the regista role with Giassi out on the right, Petzella out on the left, and a double pivot of Anjorin and Fazzini with Esposito and Solbakken starting up front together. Interesting not to see Colombo in that starting lineup. Empoli opened the scoring at the Olimpico early on as Provedel slipped as he came out to catch a routine cross by Petzella, and Esposito pretty much headed into an empty net as Romagnoli was incredibly weak in this duel. It was one of the easiest goals I think Empoli will score all season. It's hilarious how Provedel tripped over nothing. You know what it looked like? Lazio's entire team, from a very routine run down the line and cross, they were all wrong-footed. The keeper slipped. Romagnoli had no idea where he was going, and Esposito's there heading into the empty net. It was abysmal, terrible defending by Lazio. Empoli seemed to get pinned back after this as Petzella and Fazzini both received early yellow cards for stopping the opposition's attacks. Lazio got the equaliser on the stroke of half-time, where Zaccagni scored a looping header following a great dribble and cross by the informed Tavares. And at the end of the second half, Lazio won a penalty after Tavares charged forward and played through Dia, who was brought down, but Vasquez denied Tati Castellanos, who attempted a powerful strike straight down the middle. Lazio, however, found their winner in the 83rd minute through 37-year-old substitute Pedro. The Spaniard received the ball from Tati and absolutely cunted the ball in off the crossbar from a very tight angle to get them the winner. Pedro is a good, experienced player to bring in late on. He doesn't quite have the legs to do it for 90 minutes, but his movement and reading of the game is exceptional, and he has a serious eye for goal with a very unique approach as well. He's so intelligent, and he always does the thing you're not predicting.
He shoots right above the keeper.
Yeah.
Like right underneath the crossbar. And there's nothing the keeper can do about it. Very, very, of course, experienced player.
He hits a ball first time where it looks like he should definitely take a touch, and he catches everyone off guard. He has Iker Casillas as one of my favorite saves ever, where it was this incredible in-swinging cross shot by Pedro, where Casillas literally jumped up and tipped the ball. It was going straight into the far corner. Absolutely amazing. But as much as Pedro got the winner, and then we should all be celebrating him, Nuno Tavares has 5 assists in 5 matches. He basically, I know Dia won the penalty, but he did everything over there where he charged forward, looking like Theo Hernandez, charging down the middle, playing Dia through as Dia won the penalty. He's looking incredible, and he's changed this Lazio team. He's added this dynamic that Lazio have never dreamt of with Marusic and Lazzari.
We have been saying that it's going to be weird seeing Tavares when we're used to seeing the likes of Marusic and Radu and all these defensively sound fullbacks for Lazio. But this guy is a bloody loose cannon, isn't he? In a very positive way, you know. He's wild as a player. So far, yes.
So far, because Arsenal did say that he is often out of position and clumsy at the back. But so far, what we've seen is that he's insane going forward.
Yes, absolutely. And if the system is defensive, offers enough defensive coverage when he does bomb forward, and you know, there's Nicola Rovella on his side in midfield, who is quite smart as a player, then they can make it work for sure. But the thing is about Tavares that impresses me so much is he's tireless, man.
Yeah,
he will be sprinting in like the 85th minute, and he's charging up. He crosses the ball and it doesn't connect, for example, and he's charging back. You know, he doesn't do any of that walking shit.
Yeah,
he's great, man. He's been so good for Lazio. Absolute game changer. Him and Dia have been great signings for them. Massive impact.
Yeah, no, he's quite literally a horse. Nuno Tavares. Castellanos missed a penalty. Is he the rigorista, or is it Zaccagni? Is this another case of someone?
I think
needing a goal?
Zaccagni usually takes the penalties,
right?
Yeah.
Right.
And Dia takes them very, very, very well too. Very well.
Dia had the entire stadium booing him once for
his own fans. Exactly. Now this season in the Coppa,
very rough supporters and whatever, love them in that sense, but very intimidating. And he netted it in with ice cold.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But no, Castellanos took it. Provedel sucks.
Provedel wasn't technically in a world where Mandas had a semi-decent debut. Semi-decent. Provedel probably wouldn't be starting because Mandas was brought in to replace Provedel, remember? But what had he done? He got a red card.
No, but that wasn't Mandas, I think.
It wasn't? It was,
No,
I think.
no. I don't think so. It was a Brazilian goalkeeper. What was his name again?
Mandas.
I think he got shipped off immediately.
I'm not sure about that, huh?
No, I don't think
we'll
it was
have to
him.
check that out.
I need to find out right away.
Uh-huh.
Well, if you want to figure that out while I speak about...
Sure. The thing about Provedel is that he's been making a lot of mistakes. There are two goalkeepers right now who are very suspect in Serie A who haven't had a good season at all, and it's Provedel and Jornin.
Yeah, Provedel and Jornin, literally.
Yeah.
I also want to highlight that Romagnoli has really struggled as well this season. He's been at fault for some goals. This defending, once again, like you look at him a couple of weeks ago where he didn't play to the whistle and he just stopped defending, and the opposition scored. You see him doing that thing where he backs up and he doesn't go into a challenge and he just lets a player pretty much run the ball into the back of the net. And then to make matters worse, there's Provedel behind him who at the moment can't keep a simple shot out. And they also have a significant problem defending set pieces, Lazio. That's where they struggle. However, they're very good at controlling the game, and that's what they managed to do over here. They after Empoli's goal, they got completely pinned back, and Lazio were in full control. It was only a matter of time until they scored. However, it is Empoli's first loss, and it came through an 83rd minute screamer. Where do they go from here is the question.
Hopefully they recover. They've been very good. They're allowed to lose a game to Lazio. It's actually expected, for them to probably lose a game to Lazio. So I think they'll be all right for now, at least. I don't know in the long term, but I think they'll be fine.
Yeah. The keeper, by the way, was Luis Maximiano.
Maximiano, thank you, brother. How did you find him?
I wrote Lazio goalkeeper debut red card. He's now in the Segunda Division, playing for Almeria.
Okay, I thought that was Mandas. In fact, Mandas did join in 2023, so that's my bad. 23 years old. I think we might be seeing him soon. He's Greek.
Perhaps, man, because Provedel really hasn't been up to scratch. It's always harsh, obviously. Goalkeepers, if they're not performing, then they are not instantly replaced. But if a midfielder has a bad performance, you could blame the defenders, you could blame the guy next to him. Goalkeepers, they stand alone, right?
Exactly.
And
a mistake leads to a goal.
Yeah, that's it. So interesting to see how Empoli bounced back after losing their first game of the season, albeit they lost to Lazio. Not the end of the world for them. They do have some tough fixtures coming up, but they are enjoying a well-needed break as most of Lazio's players go off for international duty.
And these, again, as we discussed a few episodes ago, these small teams tend to benefit from the international break as they're all together,
Definitely,
right?
bro.
Like imagine Como, most of these guys aren't going out on international duty. They're gonna come back with some new passages of play, Empoli are gonna come back with a new strategy, they're gonna press less, when teams invite the press against them. So we'll see. It's gonna be exciting. By the way, guys, we do have something special planned for next week's episode. We will be recording and we will have a guest.
Yes.
Stay tuned.
Yes, stay tuned.
The next game we will be analyzing is Monza 1, Roma 1. So I'm going to ask you to check very quickly what the full goalkeepers Pizzignacco. There we go. Pizzignacco was in goal for Monza. I took a screenshot of the lineups basically, and it gives me half the name and dot. And if it's a player I'm not totally familiar with, like Pizzignacco in goal for Monza.
That happens.
Yeah, absolutely. They were in a 3-4-2-1 formation, Monza, with Pizzignacco in goal. Carboni, Mari, and Izzo at the back, with Kyriakopoulos on the left, and Pereira on the right. Bondo and Bianco were in the middle, with Maldini and Pessina playing behind Juric. As for Roma, it was Villar in goal in their 3-4-2-1 formation, with Mancini, Indica and Angelino at the back. Celik on the right, El Shaarawy on the left, with Cristante and Kone in the middle. Sule, Pellegrini were playing behind Dovbyk. As for missing players, Monza do find themselves in a little bit of a crisis when it comes to injuries. They've got Birindelli out, Cranio's out, Gagliardini's out, Petagna, Sensi and Vignato are all out. And those are pretty important players, especially the likes of Sensi and Gagliardini. I would think they would be quite deployable.
Yeah.
Even Birindelli can put in a shift.
True.
For Roma, of course, Dybala was out. Hummels was also out due to illness.
Okay.
Get well soon. And Salamakers, of course, did suffer that ankle injury that has seen him out. This match saw Roma opening the scoring in the 61st minute through Artem Dovbyk, who slotted home a left-footed strike after some sustained pressure. The problem with Dovbyk this game was, first of all, he's not getting enough service in this Roma team. And I don't understand how he went from that finish, where he was one-on-one in a very similar situation, and he skied it and even had the target, to suddenly just holding the ball, demonstrating this incredible combination of technique, intelligence and patience, because that's what that was, to scoring a fantastic goal. And the relief, man, in his celebration, he didn't even celebrate, he just starfished on the floor, you know, and his teammates around him all celebrating. There's a lot of pressure at Roma right now. I'm sure the loss at Elfsborg didn't help, but Juric seemed to be turning things around in the league. You know, they got 2 victories on the trot. I think the pressure is fucking unrealistic.
But the entire city.
The pressure for results is unrealistic. And the problem is the players feel this pressure when it's not necessarily targeted to them. Because the ownership is what's kind of operating in such a weird way, using De Rossi, an icon for the club, as a cushion to sack Mourinho, to make the Mourinho blow an easier pill to swallow for the Roma fans, and then to just let him go and bring in Juric, you know, randomly a few games into the season. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
And then you have the fans chanting to the players, "We're not here for you, we're here for the shirt." You know, like, again, you can criticize the management, but the players on the pitch are the players representing the shirt. You need to support them. They're going to get you the results they're playing, you know.
Yeah.
And it's not like they had a terrible game, you know. It was all right.
It feels like it's these 11 players against the world at the moment. That's the thing. These 11 players almost, I think, feel alone. It's like if their supporters aren't going to back them, if management is making an absolute mess of everything, they just lost a manager they adored in De Rossi, replaced by a pragmatic... Because it's not even that they got a similar profile manager that's going to help them build on what they were looking to create over here, which shows a significant lack of strategy by management.
Absolutely.
You've got Mourinho for 3 years. Okay, you want to be pragmatic. You get De Rossi. Okay, wow, you're offensive. 1 season, they renew his contract. Well, half a season, they renew his contract. Let him go after 3 matches, and they bring back another pragmatic manager.
Not to mention,
these guys are confused.
The entire time under Mourinho, they're buying players to fit Mourinho's system. Then suddenly De Rossi comes in for a season and a half. They're buying players to fit his system, and then they're going back to Mourinho's system. So what the hell? You've got this weird squad of 50-50.
Literally.
Half of them play a 4-3-3. Half of them play a 3-5-2. You know, what the hell?
It's a complete identity crisis.
It's true.
A complete identity crisis.
It's a disaster. Sorry, I didn't even finish my rundown. And 9 minutes later, after Dovbyk's goal, Monza responded quickly. Mota equalized with a simple tap-in from close range after a well-worked team move, which saw Svilar tip the ball a little bit weakly, and it fell to Mota, who put it in. Mota's a hero at Monza. Absolutely love Mota. He's been there since Serie A, this guy, man.
Yeah.
Dovbyk did have a disallowed goal, a ferocious strike that ricocheted off the crossbar into the back of the net. He was in an offside position. The curvature of his hip was offside in the animation.
And it seems like he knew it.
He knew it, he knew. He had a feeling. Yes. There was a massive save by Pizzignacco. Quite a few massive saves by Pizzignacco, if I'm saying his name correctly.
Yes.
But Roma did lack a cutting edge, even though they dominated the game. Setting up in their 3-5-2, they looked to control the midfield and attack through the wings. Dovbyk was a presence up front, but they couldn't really get the ball to him. Monza's defense held firm this game. They did switch to a more compact shape during the game, switching to a 4-3-3. They relied on quick counter-attacks. They pressed the back line effectively. and that's how they got the equalizer, in fact. Both teams pushed for a winner, but none of them managed to get it. Juric's comments after the game were interesting. There was one more very important moment. There was a clear foul on Baldanzi, a clear stomp on him, studs and everything in the box. Clear penalty, everyone in uproar. Maybe not a clear penalty, but one that warranted a review, perhaps, because it was bad, bro.
The refereeing had been good
until now. This match they hit, and suddenly disaster. I'm not sure what happened.
Like, what is this? The Premier League?
Maybe Freddie Mercury's drinking Gatorade.
What do you mean?
Mercury's and Retegui. I'm sure someone out there got that. Yes, and there was a whole interview about it. Baldanzi told Sky Sport Italia, "I think the incident is clear." He said, "The referee told me that the opponent jumped first and then stepped on my foot, but I think it was the other way around. I think it was a penalty. However, this is not my job, and surely we should have won without this incident." Totally, absolutely mature response and correct. Nesta said, "I saw the replay. I don't think it was a penalty. Both players looked at the ball. It has to be noted that it has become challenging to understand every situation. There are thousands of rules. It's complicated."
Nesta's great.
Nesta speaks really well.
He's great.
You heard what he said when they told him, "What do you think that the referee's a Roma fan?" That he's from Rome.
He said, "I hope he's a Lazio fan."
He said, "You never know, he might support Lazio."
He's charming with it, man. I hope he gets a win soon, because this is a good result, 1-1 to Roma.
Absolutely.
But all these draws and losses and no wins with an international break upon us, it's a bit worrying.
Juric said, "It's a shame because we played really well today. We controlled proceedings and created so many chances. It's been a while since we created that many. We need to improve at finishing them off, though. Aside from the goal, we only gave the opposition one opportunity to find the net. As for the rest, in terms of how the game panned out and our team spirit, I think we did well. Normally, we win these kinds of games easily, but right now, that's not how things are going for us." Then there was the penalty situation, which compounded everything. However, we performed really well. It was an excellent display, he said. An excellent display is taking it a bit too far, I think, because granted they had 65% ball possession and 15 goal attempts, but in reality, Monza had 3 shots on target and Roma also had 4 shots on target. Monza's XG was higher than Roma's.
If that's an excellent display, man.
Granted, there's been an overreaction because of this result. I mean, it's you can't expect to win every single game, especially when a manager has just been employed, and that's the thing right now. The fans are kind of shooting themselves in the foot. They're mounting the pressure because they're unhappy with the management. They're unhappy with what they're seeing on the pitch. But they're only making their team worse, man. Their team scores and they can't even celebrate because they're so stressed out and they're so low on confidence that a goal for them is just a relief. It's not a joyous moment.
No.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long season
for
Roma.
It's going to be a long season
Very
for
long
Roma.
Season.
Still early, but we'll see what happens with them, yes. As for Monza, I think Daniel Maldini is a pivotal player in their attack. Of course, he's always involved. He had one moment where it was quite a bad miss, to be honest. The finish wasn't great, but he did very well to get into the situation. The shot was quite central. And that was pretty much it for this game, bro.
Yes, sir. Atalanta 5, Genoa 1. Atalanta were coming off a 1-1 away draw to Bologna and a 3-0 away win against Shakhtar, whereas Genoa were coming off a 3-0 home loss to Juve. Atalanta have a growing injury crisis without Kusunu, Jim City, Ruggeri, Brescianini, Toloi, Scalvini and Scamacca, but Hien was back, thank God. Malinovsky, Badel, Messias, Ekuban and Morton were all absent for Genoa. Morton being Morton Friendship. I don't know why I called him Morton.
Rick and Morton.
It was a 3-4-2-1 formation for Gasperini's men with Carnesecchi in goal and the backline of Kolasinac, Hien and Deron. Zappa Costa on the left, Bellanova on the right and the double pivot of Pasalic and Ederson with Lukman and De Ketelare flanking Retegui. 3-5-2 for Gilardino's men with Gollini in goal and the backline of De Winter, Bani and Vasquez. Zanoli on the right, Martin on the left and the midfield trio of Thorsby, Bohinen and Miretti with Pinamonti and Vitinha starting up front together. Retegui stole the spotlight by scoring a hat-trick. He opened the scoring in the 24th minute, sliding in to finish a low cross from Ademola Lookman. He struck again shortly after half-time, pouncing on a rebound following an Ederson shot. Gollini should have done better handling this, gifting his parent club a goal. Ederson added to Atalanta's tally with a powerful strike in off the crossbar in the 60th minute, and Retegui completed his hat-trick in the 74th with a penalty awarded for a handball by Alessandro Vogliacco. De Rome scored a sensational volley from way out in the 80th minute to extend Atalanta's lead to 5, but Genoa managed a consolation goal in the 83rd minute with 17-year-old Jeff Ekator taking advantage of a defensive lapse by Atalanta. Bro, Atalanta needed a big win and they got one. They looked confident as the game progressed. They played with a certain swagger and a spring in their step.
Yes. Absolutely. However, you look at Genoa right now and you think to yourself, no wonder something's been up, man. 777 declaring bankruptcy has... it makes sense. It makes sense when you look at the team. You know, I mean, they went from a very promising project with players who attracted massive clubs, paying decent salary, paying decent prices to acquire these players. We're talking Dragusin, we're talking Goodmanson, we're talking Retegui, we're talking all these guys.
It's
you know?
fucked that
all of a sudden,
a
sudden they sold them all. The replacements were have been very underwhelming. You know, you bring in Pinamonti, man. Do you think Pinamonti is going to give you what Retegui gives you? I mean, who was the Goodmanson replacement? You have Junior Messias who's super injury prone, and that leaves you with Malinovsky as the only creative outlet who's consistent in theory, but he done broke his bloody fucking what do you call it, his ankle, you know.
No, they're a complete mess.
So you look at them right now, they're trying to reintegrate Melagoni, who was out of the project, 25 years old. They're deploying Thorsby and Bohinen in the middle, you know. Bohinen, former Salernitana, Thorsby, former Sampdoria, you know, alongside Miretti,
a team of scraps,
alongside Miretti, who is granted not a bad player by any means, but a youth, you know.
Yeah.
And Vitinha and Pinamonti up front. It's not looking good for them at all, and I'm sure they were singing a bloody Nirvana song as this was going, brother. You know the one I'm talking about. Because Atalanta ran them ragged in that second half. Absolutely ran them ragged. It was hard to watch. And Retegui was like, he looked upset to be scoring, you know, and he did look guilty, to be honest. He was happy probably that he would have got his hat-trick, posed with a smile, but you could tell he was weirded out by it. But it was a total disaster for Genoa, and I feel really bad for Gilardino, who was proving that he was a very capable manager with a decent squad, but now his squad literally has nothing left for him to work with. He can't deploy his style. He has to become one of these teams that sits back and tries to hit on the counter like every other bloody shit team we've seen.
And this obviously signifies, this result obviously signifies all the problems that Genoa have right now. But that's what Atalanta are good at, no? When they smell blood, when they come up against a weak opposition, they kill them.
They kill them.
They absolutely murder them, bro.
It's fucked.
Yeah. Retegui scored 3 against his former club, as we already mentioned, his 7th goal of the season. I think another guy, obviously, not to mention Retegui's brilliant assist for Ederson's goal. And speaking of Ederson, he fucking bossed Genoa's thin midfield to bits. It was all him in the middle. He's such a well-rounded midfielder.
And it was all him because he was playing alongside Pasalic, who really isn't good as a central midfielder, in my opinion.
And he got a goal himself, Ederson, and he also forced Gollini's error into Retegui's second goal. He just had a brilliant display, and Europe is keeping a close eye on him, I'm sure. I want to mention 17-year-old Jeff Ekator. His goal made him the second youngest scorer in Europe's top 5 leagues for the current season, only behind, you guessed it, Barcelona's Lamine Yamal. Prior to his senior debut, Ekator had an impressive youth career, tallying 32 goals and 20 assists across 73 matches. He was promoted to the first team by Alberto Gilardino. He's already made 3 appearances for Italy's under-19s, and he's set to participate in the upcoming match against Wales. He's 6'2". He's quite quick, he's powerful, and he also has very good finishing. So, I mean, for him to already get a goal against Atalanta for Genoa after they conceded 5 is a good sign.
No, it's a good sign. Yeah, I mean, he came on, he tried, he gave his absolute all, and he got a goal, you know. And it's not every day a young player can say he scored against Atalanta, right? And I'm sure, was it his debut?
Yeah, it was his debut.
Amazing.
It was his debut.
Why you not talking? My name is Jeff.
Brilliant. How I wish there wasn't that delay in the beginning. I just wish it was the
My name
Jeff instantly,
What a
and it would
movie.
have absolutely killed. But again, Atalanta needed the result. They got the result. Spires them up a little bit. Now they've got 3 wins this season, and yeah, we'll see what happens to them and what happens to Genoa, who are in the relegation zone, and they are at this point relegation candidates, bro. Like they are literally straight up relegation candidates this season.
It's true, and that's not how it started, but that's how it currently stands. You know, without Frendrup and Malinovsky, that looks absolutely abysmal, that midfield, and no wonder they're exploring the free agent market. I think at this point I'd bring in Kandreva and I'd play him as an attacking midfielder.
Yeah,
I'm not even taking the piss.
They're also interested in Mario Balotelli.
Imagine Kandreva and Balotelli trying to save Genoa.
Kandreva, Balotelli, and Dele Alli.
Oh my
days. God! What
any update on that, on Dele Alli?
No, I haven't seen anything. What love and sexy magic, huh?
Bologna took on Parma and lined up in a 4-3-3 formation with Ravaglia and Lico Giannis on the left, Holm on the right. This was Holm's first start for Bologna, and he played pretty well. Ehrlich and Beukema were the centre-back duo, with Moro, Abisher and Freuler as the midfield 3, with Ndoye on the left, Orsolini on the right, and Castro up front. For Parma, it was Suzuki in goal, and therefore 2-3-1 formation, with Woyo Koulibaly on the right, Valeri on the left, Baloch and Del Prato as the centre-backs. Barnabe and Hernani were the midfield double pivot, with Dennis Mann on the right, Cancelleri on the left, with Son playing behind Boni. As for unavailable players, we had Cambiaghi, Elazuzi, Ferguson, Lukumi and Pobega, all out injured for Bologna, while the guy whose name I can never pronounce, Cercati, Estevez and Kowalski were unavailable for Parma. Benedicak,
yeah,
something like that. So it was a stalemate despite some intense moments. Bologna were coming off their Champions League loss to Liverpool, where they played a decent game but just couldn't keep up in the long run. They struggled to break down a depleted Parma side, which was dealing with its own injury concerns, of course, as we mentioned. The turning point of the match came early in the second half, when Parma's Woyo Koulibaly was sent off for a high challenge after a VAR review. This left Parma, of course, with 10 men and defending for their lives for the rest of the game. And they must have not been very optimistic at that moment, because they've been conceding, as we said last episode, they've been leaking more than my washing machine. Despite dominating possession and creating several chances, Bologna couldn't find a way past Zion Suzuki, who made some incredible saves. There was one particularly spectacular stop on Castro. Castro was looking lively again.
He almost got from outside the area again, man.
He's really good. Parma, meanwhile, nearly stole a win in the final moments when Mahala's long-range shot was saved by Ravaglia. Bologna struggled with overcrowded attacks this game, brother, often looking disorganized in the final third, as is characteristic of Italiano's system, no? Parma, in contrast, sat back and defended compactly when they went down to 10 men, and they fought hard to earn their point. So, as for talking points, brother, I think that Castro looked lively and forced a few attempts. He didn't miss any clear chances, but rather he forced something dangerous out of 50-50 situations, which is something that you like to see, you know?
Yeah.
He will get his shot out in an opportunity where you're wondering, is he even going to get the ball? You know?
I think it's interesting to me, you mentioned the overcrowded nature of their attack. I agree with you, because they've got Dan Ndoye, Santiago Castro and Orsolini that are very goal-driven players. They all cut in. So Dan Ndoye, very direct. Orsolini, very direct. And Castro is very direct. Whereas last season they had that Zirkzee that can come in deep and allow these players to fucking attack the spaces And not to mention, they also had a certain Ferguson in midfield that orchestrated those attacks.
Who's going to be back sooner rather than later, huh? Next month he should be back.
Amazing. Good to hear. So, whilst Castro is an incredible talent, is he the perfect fit for them stylistically? Incredible talent, and he's carrying them at the moment to a certain degree. He's the only one that's getting shit done. Or Solini, not quite there yet, and Doi not quite there yet either, and it's all Castro up front. But there is a bit of a misbalance in that area. I wouldn't hate if they tried out a 4-4-2 formation and they tried Dallinga alongside Castro, for example, just to give them a bit of balance.
Italiano, I don't think, has done that in recent times. I'm not sure if he had done that at Spezia. I don't think so either, because he's
always been a 4-3-3 merchant, huh?
Right. Yeah, he's got his system, a man of his system. Carlson's shot would have been such a good goal. It was going into the near post from a distance at an angle. So imagine from the left, he shot as hard as he can. Normally you curl it to the right, but he went for the left. Would have been a wicked goal. Koulibaly was correctly sent off. It was a very dangerous tackle on Ndoye. Parma have some horrible discipline issues. 4 red cards in 6 games. That is
4 red cards. The amount of goals they concede when they should be defending, and they're attacking. They're a little bit. They're much better, but they do have that frosinone syndrome in them.
It's true.
They are a team that bossed Serie B last year and came in with great confidence. Look, we can take these guys on.
Yes, the similarities are quite eerie, actually. And
where's Grosso? Sorry, continue.
That's a good question. Last I saw, he was getting punched by fans. No, Grosso.
Oh my God, he's of course Sassuolo.
Yes, of course. No wonder. No one knows. No one's ever at the games.
Don't worry, I'm gonna tell. They're third.
Who's first in Serie A?
Pisa, Spezia, Sassuolo, Juve, Stabia, Brescia.
Where are Salernitana? They're down low, no?
They're down bad, crying at the gym, bro. 10th place.
Okay, not bad.
Down bad, crying at the gym.
Yeah.
Frosinone are 19th. Sorry, continue.
Jesus. As for Ndoye, he had a pretty good game. He, at one point, got close to scoring when he cut inside and took a shot. It was straight at the keeper, but he was the guy responsible for getting Koulibaly sent off, so that's pretty massive. And Boni had 2 decent chances in the first half where he should have done much better. I was disappointed in how he did. So he could have actually given Parma one of their trademark early leads. But that's the thing with Bologna as well, that when a team sits deep and they let Bologna play, they struggle. What can I ask? What on earth just happened?
Because I just caught myself scratching the fuck out of my new tattoo. I'm like, something's itchy and I was scratching the fuck out of it. Sorry.
We always joke about how when you get a new tattoo, you're not meant to touch it. Obviously, you're not meant to scratch it. And you go to bed and you're passed out and you just wake up in the middle of the night and you catch yourself just scratching away at your tattoo. Out of it, bro. Shit. To sleep in a straight jacket, like. Yeah, that's it. I mean, this was a typical Italiano display where they had 71% ball possession, 19 shots with only 3 of them on target, and an XG of 1.13 against 10-man Parma for almost a full half.
I mean, last week they were in the exact same situation up against Atalanta, but it was Bologna that had the red card, and they made Atalanta's life hell to find the equalizer. And I joked, I said, like, sometimes I didn't joke, I was serious. It's tough to play against 10 men when the 10 men are all in the box and they're all defending with that low block. So they got a taste of their own medicine in that sense, Bologna, because Parma, they for the first time in ages, you actually saw them defending all together as a unit, and it was due to the red card. Let's hope that next time it won't take a bloody red card for them to defend with their lives.
Hey, absolutely. Like, if you can do this with 10 men, surely you can do better. Absolutely. But the problem is, I think they always end up going for more.
Must be, again, an instruction from Pecchia.
Absolutely. And shout out once again to Suzuki, a fantastic goalkeeper.
Next game, Udinese 1, Lecce 0. Udinese coming off a 3-2 home loss to Inter, and Lecce coming off a 3-0 away loss to Milan. Udinese still missed Alexis Sanchez, Payero and Christensen, and Druniarch actually made 4 changes after the loss to Inter. Lecce missed Kaba, Berisha and Bonifazi with only 1 change following their loss to Milan. was a 3-5-2 formation for Runjajc's men with Okoye in goal and the backline of Toure, Bijol and Kabasele. Zemura was on the left, Ezibwe was on the right, and the midfield three of Eklinkamp, Karlström and Zarraga, with Lucca and Bremer starting up front together. Brenner, not Bremer. 4-2-3-1 formation for Lecce with Falcone in goal and the backline of Guilbert, Gaspar, Baschirotto and Gallo. Go for it.
We're on 1%, so this might be the last one.
Pierret and Ramadani formed a double pivot with Dorgu out on the right, Rebic out on the left and Koulibaly playing behind Kristovic. Crystal Madonna, Kristovic. Oh.
Man, honestly...
Pass the fucking ball, dog. Honestly, pass it, man.
Honestly, he's lucky at this point in time that D'Aversa isn't his manager anymore.
Oh my god, he'd beat the shit out of him. He'd be suspended for a full season.
What a selfish player.
He's a selfish player.
Nah,
he's a selfish player.
He is.
But the match was tightly contested, with both teams creating few clear-cut chances. Udinese had slightly more possession and struck the post in the first half with a deflected shot by Oyer Zarraga, narrowly missing an opportunity to take the lead. The game remained even until the 75th minute when Zemura's stunning free kick gave Udinese the lead. It was a perfect strike by the left-back, and this marked his first goal for the club since joining from Bournemouth in August 2023. He actually did grab an assist against Inter in the last match. After taking the lead, Udinese continued to press but were unable to extend their advantage. Lecce struggled to capitalise on their few opportunities and couldn't find the equaliser. And quite frankly, it was quite a flaccid performance by Lecce. Udinese climb up to 5th place, level on points with 3rd place Juventus and 4th place Lazio. Or are they level on points with 2nd? Sorry, I just need to
Juve?
check that
Udinese,
out.
sorry.
Udinese. I think it was a typo. No,
so
I'm right.
They've got 13 points.
I'm right. Exactly. 13 points, level on points with 3rd place Juve and 4th place Lazio. I mean, good performance by Udinese because they literally did what they had to do. I think Lecce were playing for the draw. I don't think they had any clear ambition of winning the game.
They had a decent spell of possession for 10 minutes in the first half, but they never really created anything dangerous, right? And Udinese did look like the team that had greater aspirations this game. In past seasons, would have seen Udinese totally drawing this game. Would have been one of their 24 draws of the season, But Udinese actually, I think, have taken a massive step up this season so far. Of course, still early days, but they look like they mean business. And this coach is a very serious fellow, isn't he, Runjajc?
And I can't wait to see, because typically in Serie A, what you get are a bunch of household names in Italy. So you get D'Aversa every season, you get Zanetti every season, you get these guys coming in a lot every season. But Runjajc was quite a random one. In fact, I'm like, okay, it's a good thing they're not going for their classic, what's his name? Gotti's
Gotti's a Lecce. On the other side.
And all these guys that they typically go for, and they went for something a bit different. Cannavaro, someone that they had last season as well. So I like that they explored outside of Serie A and outside of Italy a little bit, and it seems to be paying off because they're bringing something fresh. And one place they've really improved is on the wings, man. Zemura and Ezibwe are doing fantastic work down those wings. They're so dangerous and they're stopping a lot of attacks coming from there as well. Rebic and Dorgu were not invisible, but they did a great job of denying them.
Absolutely. I think we haven't seen a foreign manager on a minnow side since Genoa were in Serie A when they got relegated the last time. And they brought in Klopp from Wish.
Exactly.
Blessing, yeah.
Blessing. And they went on that rampage of draws at the end of the season.
So it's nice to see. It's refreshing. Maybe some teams will branch out as well, because it's always the same names. You see, Ballardini. You know the guys.
Yeah. Lecce seemed like they defended well for the most part of the game. In fact, to keep Udinese at bay, Udinese are a side that scored 2 against Inter in the last match, and they have no problem going forward. Like we said last episode, they've got Lucca, they've got Brenner up front, and they've got Davis as well. They've got Kamara that can play somewhere around there at least.
They've got Alexis Sanchez.
They've got Alexis Sanchez, who's still injured.
That's going to be wicked.
Yeah. So they've got no problem scoring goals. But Lecce, to be fair to them, they defended pretty well. And they were unlucky to concede. I mean, through a free kick, through a Zemura gorgeous free kick. Is his first goal of the season.
And this is a massive, massive moment for, not only for Zemura, but for Udinese as well. Because Thuram is also injured.
Oh, yes.
And they did this whole thing without him, and that's... They've been dependent this season on Thuram as the kind of orchestrator of everything. Because I think it's so common to see him in and out of the team that you don't even realize sometimes. But yes, that's why I do hope that when Alexis Sanchez comes back, they deploy him as kind of a jolly card, a wild card. They bring him on at the end, you know. Utilize him treat him as a fragile player. Treat him, he'll be pivotal, he'll be important, bringing him on at the end of every game. Udinese are good enough to hang on in most games. Bring him on at the end, you can push for a late victory or a good counter attack.
The odd start could still work for him.
The odd start could work.
Because he's a leader, and having him on the pitch would be an asset. But I like the approach that Lazio have with Pedro, for example, that we mentioned earlier. That would be quite good. Lecce have been underwhelming for the most part. They don't look as good as they did last year with Gotti. But it's still early days and they still have a lot of time to turn things around. Right now, they find themselves in 17th place.
Yeah, pretty standard Lecce
they also
position.
They also have a bunch of players that are quite greedy. I mean, they've got Kristovic up front who doesn't pass for the life of him. Then they've got Rebic as well, who I think is dying for his first goal as well. Often goes for that dribble when he should be passing the ball. Dorgu is their star. And when Dorgu is open, pass the ball to him.
Exactly.
But he's making these runs in behind. He's moving centrally into the pitch to try create something. And he didn't see too much of the ball in this game.
And what the hell is up with Remy Udon? Why are you playing Lassana Koulibaly as your attacking midfielder?
It's weird. I really don't get
What's happening there? I don't know. Maybe once again to go man for man with Udinese's midfield. I guess that was the reason. Because Pierret and Ramadani alone might have been overwhelmed by Eklinkamp, Karlstorm and Zarraga.
Perhaps.
But is that it for that?
Over to you, sir.
We can move on to our grand finale.
We can finish so I can call Epic.
Why?
Because they just sent me a text message telling me, kindly be informed we are in the process of deactivating your SIM card. What are you doing? What are you doing messaging me at 9 p.m. with this shit, man? The fuck is going on, man? Ever since I changed my bloody bank details, they've struggled to withdraw money. And I always call it, I've used the new details that I've already sent to you. I know there's money in my fucking account and they just keep messing it up. Now they're threatening me.
Yeah, that's not very epic of them. So let's look at this game, which started off clumsily and ended clumsily. Hellas Verona 2, Venezia 1. For Hellas Verona, it was a 4-4-2 formation with Montipo in goal, Bradaric on the left, Chachua on the right, with Gilardi and Magnani as a centre-back partnership. Lazovic was on the left with Roja, bro, help me.
Where, sorry?
Roja, the right midfielder of Hellas Verona. His full name is?
Candela. Of Verona.
Yeah.
Roja Livramento.
Livramento, that's him. Okay, why it says Roja and he does not look like himself, brother.
It's true.
I need to use SofaScore from now on. Yes, this is Flash Score. Shout out SofaScore. Belayan and Duda were in the middle. Belayan is the nifty little Ben Nasser-esque player we always mention.
Yeah.
Mosquera and Tengsted did start this game up front together, which you love to see.
Yeah.
In a game like this against Venezia, 3-pointer, a 6-pointer,
yeah.
go for your two guys. Mosquera has scored 3. Tengsted has scored quite a few as well. I've got the stat. I'll let you know very soon. Play them together up front. That's cool.
I agree. I like
For
it.
Venezia, it was Jorinen in goal in their 3-4-2-1 formation with Svoboda, Zverko and Itzes at the back. Candela on the right, Haps on the left with Dumbia and Nicolusi Caviglia in the middle. Buzio and Oristano playing behind Poyon Pompalo. Missing players, we have notable, I'm just going to mention the notable ones. Davidovic for Hellas Verona, Harui, Serdar and Suslov were all out, while Duncan was out for Venezia as well as Bjarksen.
Bjarkesen.
Both teams came into the game needing a win to improve their positions in the table. Of course, Verona are targeting a top half finish before the international break, while Venezia were looking to escape the relegation zone. The match started with a bang, a very sloppy bang, as Venezia's Gaetano Oristano opened the scoring in just the second minute. A corner from Nicolusi Caviglia was not even cleared, it just bounced in the middle, and Oristano stabbed the ball into the back of the net. I think that is the downfall sometimes of going man for man. It opens these pockets of space in the box. That's the difference between zonal marking and man marking on set-piece situations.
Sloppy bang.
Which do you prefer?
Well, that's a great question. Zonal if it's done properly. But then
zonal, you concede, it looks fucking awful.
It looks so fucking awful.
I think you have to man market the main threats and then zonal the rest. You know what I mean?
I guess. Like you need to go man for man with.
Like you're not just gonna go zonal.
Bastoni, for example, but for most of it zonal, because you need to predict where the ball is going. You need to cover the dangerous areas rather than the players, because it's easy to bypass a defender. Even if you're man for man, you could still bypass him. I like a mix of both, but if I had to choose one, zonal if done properly.
Good answer. So, yes, Verona responded quickly with Tengsted leveling the game in the 9th minute. He started the move from the left flank, exchanged passes with Mosquera and volleyed home with precision. This was in Maltese we call the game Germanisa. It's keep-ups essentially. Red ass it's known as in some places. It's basically where you juggle and try to assist each other with volleys, and every time you miss you go keeper, and the loser has a punishment where people kick the ball at you. Basically,
we like playing a version of that called Spalla Bis, bro. I don't know.
You have to score with your shoulder only.
You can only score with your shoulders. If you score with your shoulder, it's total elimination, by the way, in Germanisa. Yes, bro, you're done. If you concede that.
It reminds me of Balotelli, man.
Yes.
Goal he scored, the game remained tightly contested until the 87th minute, when Darko Lazovic delivered a deep cross from a corner. Castanos met the ball with a header at the far post shortly after coming on, which deflected off Venezia's goalkeeper Jorinen, who reacted really amateurly.
It's not that he reacted amateurly, it's that at first he was reacting.
And then he stopped himself.
Just like he stood there for a bit, then when the ball hit the back of the net, he just fell backwards. It's like they asked him English or Spanish while he was goalkeeper. Genuinely.
Yeah, that's true. Verona, we must say that they did exploit their set-piece opportunities. Venezia, on the other hand, they struggled to maintain their defensive shape. Lapses in concentration during critical moments. Venezia pressed a lot in the first half and created chances, but they lacked clarity in the final third. Verona, with their 4-2-3-1 formation, eventually, after switching, pushed through more aggressive wing plays and took advantage of opposition errors. This, by the way, is a derby. Veneto derby.
Okay.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Yeah, the derby of the V's. Terrible defending, yes, by Verona, as we mentioned on that corner. There was a big miss by Lazovic.
It's not quite like them this season, to defend terribly.
I know, right? They've been quite defensively sound.
They've been quite organised.
But these games, man, when you play these games, the quality seems to dip. You tend to play to each other's level. And Venezia playing away from home here would have come and kind of brought a little bit of chaos to Verona's otherwise structured system, the season at least, and I think it would have disrupted them and made the game into a bit of a scrap, right? That's what we see in these games. There were big misses by Lazovic for Verona and Haps for Venezia, both failing to hit the target. Haps was particularly bad. There was a cross that went to the far post, and Hops went to kind of hit it in. He was totally unmarked with the instep, but he skied it. One of those where the fullback just doesn't have the technique or the reflexes to handle, or the experience, quite simply, to handle that situation. Lazovic's attempt was also from a cross, and it was a header, and he missed the target. Yeah.
It's interesting as well, just seeing the way Venezia are set up. If you look at the heat map, you literally see the pockets of space that Verona love to see, man. Like, it's obvious that Svoboda is that last man at the back, but Idzes and Zverko, as much as obviously they are being utilized as centre-backs that can push forward. No, the right centre-back and the left centre-back, kind of like Inter do, and like many other teams do. But you look at the average position of
They've got
where
5 players in the opposition half. That's the press, man.
Literally. But look at the amount of space that can be exploited.
That's true. That middle's empty.
Yeah, between the midfield
like,
and the defense.
Midfielder there.
Exactly. And then you look at Verona, compact in the middle.
Compact in the middle. Wow, that's quite wild.
Yeah.
Starting, by the way, both strikers. Tengsted's on 4 goals in each competition, in every competition, and in all competitions, sorry. While Mosquera's on 3, so it made sense, I think, to start them together, and they linked up well, which is nice to see. It's not every day you play both strikers and they link up like that, especially in big 2024.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity to try this out as well, because there's definitely certain opposition where having 2 big strikers like that could definitely work.
Yes. I think after the break, we'll be seeing Stankovic, brother, in goal. Because there's no way they're going to put up with this again.
No.
You know, Stankovic is a very talented player, talented goalkeeper. Son, of course, of Big Daddy Stankovic, who was at Inter. So he's got like 3 children. No, we covered them once.
And one of them retired.
We mentioned it in our profiles. In our profile episode, we mentioned that Stankovic was bought by Venezia, but surely he has to play.
No, at the moment, Jorinen and Providel are way too inconsistent as goalkeepers. The only thing consistent about them is the amount of blunders that they're making. And I'm not even saying that to exaggerate or to be mean or sensationalist or whatever. But they're making mistakes consistently. And there you need to change it. Because at this point, you remember Milan that season where every shot was a bloody goal because of Cyprian Tatarusanu, who had a mental astigmatism. A crazy astigmatism. And he just kept conceding and conceding and conceding. These teams are currently going through the same thing. And it's not bloody sustainable. You'd rather have an average goalkeeper that at least positions himself well. At least doesn't lose his footing like both of these guys did, you know?
That's true. Agreed. And it's not every season, we get to say there are 2 underperforming goalkeepers in Serie A. Usually they're all a joy to watch, usually.
Yeah, absolutely, bro.
We're done, right? From our end. Guys, remember to hit subscribe, remember to leave a comment, smash the like button. You know, that would be cool.
Do all that.
Become a patron if you want to support the show and become a member of our group chat. Right now, they just sent a meme. Campbell sent a hilarious meme. About Genoa signing Balotelli. Someone said that it would be a must-watch on TV. Joey D said that Genoa would become a must-watch if they signed Balotelli. And Campbell posted, did you get more viewers? Yes. What did it cost? Everything. Plus, he burned down the training facility with a bottle rocket. Hilarious.
They're such memers, man.
They're hilarious.
Don't leave just yet, because our co-hosts are once again taking over our betting segment. But from us, you'll see us next week with a very special episode. Ciao, ciao. Sandro.
What?
This is getting too much.
2 losses already.
Too much. This time, we say under 3 goals, and they go make the fiesta scoring like they are in 1970 Brazil. They make us look fucking stupid again.
In December we are playing a team and I don't know how to say the name. Leicester.
I make side bet for Juventus to win I cannot place a bet on my own team, but fuck that! I don't care. I place the bet. I try for once to score goal. I try from corner. I hit the fucking post. I cannot believe it.
Leicester. Nico, you cannot bet on yourself. You are going to self-destruct.
You are the one to talk. You are the one betting Milan to win, You are in the team and Milan win and yellow card 92, 93. I bet team to win because I believe in the team.
Ma vaffanculo, you believe in the team. Who is the team? You cannot even beat Cagliari.
We cannot beat Cagliari because we have this idiot from Serbia up front. He don't know where he is playing, if he is defender for Cagliari or if he is striker for Juventus. The worst striker I have seen in my life. I want to cross, but I cannot cross because if I cross, then Dusan is going to fucking hit the ball. I have to shoot.
Leicester. I think we should take a break, Nico. I think we should not bet for next week. Unless we can put some money on Malta to win. Because Malta, they have new manager. They are playing at home on Sunday. Maybe Andorra, maybe one of those teams with an A. I don't know. Leicester.
I am fucked up.
I am so drunk right now.
The only thing I know about Malta is the betting company.
Which one?
All of them.
Yes, me too, Nico.
If you like Serie A or have ever liked it in the past, it's a good opportunity for you to listen once a week and you'll get filled in.
The football weekend, that's like the main dish. But then a few days later, you drop your episode and that's like the dessert. And the dessert is just perfect.
It's good, the cake.
It makes it feel like we're all sitting in a room together, just BSing with each other.
The atmosphere is fantastic.
I promise nobody will ask you to send boob pics.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
I love how you go into so much detail and show so much passion towards each and every team. Literally, no team is left undiscussed.
When I listen to you, it's like I'm talking to you in a pub. It's like I'm chatting to a friend and you're chatting to me.